All right. You damn right, question mark. I'm Ron Burgundy, question mark. House divided on a Wednesday when Jeff Ketchum puts on a rabbit head and then goes off to trick or treat. Weird things happen. We hope he's all right today. He's taking the day off for some Orangebloods business. No truth to the rumors. He got arrested in that rabbit outfit, at least not yet. We get that proof, we will let you know. We got Blake, the super producer, here today. He's interested in something we're interested in. And this guy right here, right there, yeah, right there. Look at that. You see that? Look at that. Wait, well, we'll give him the Scott Hall. Bam, right there. He's rocking the Texas Rangers lid. He is Keenan Womack. You can check him out on orangebloods.com for all your Texas basketball stuff specifically, but he's following it all. We'll talk about all of it today. We'll dig into Texas basketball specifically in the second hour. We got a lot of different things to hit today on this Wednesday. Again, first and foremost, we hope everybody is safe and sound after the Halloween festivities. We hope that you didn't get sick. We hope you didn't vomit everywhere because you ate too much candy, and hope everybody got home safely, and I hope all the kids had a great time. Saw a lot of cool pictures yesterday of cool Halloween costumes, parent-kid Halloween costumes, family costumes, and all that stuff. Always cool. So now we hit into November. Now we're getting ready for the real push in football, and there is some baseball to talk about as well. Keenan, how you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm great. I had a great Halloween last night, trick-or-treating with my nephew, who is 2 years old. He didn't really get the concept of what was going on, but he had a lot of fun looking at the other costumes and running around. So a lot of fun.
Very cool. By the way, just on a technical standpoint for Blake, the super producer, I am currently not seeing any chats. So I guess that means Blake's going to be in charge of any chat that would get thrown up today. Whatever's being said about me or whatever's being said to me today, whatever sheep jokes are coming in, I don't have the.
Chad, do you want to hop out and come back and see if the chat's working?
No, it popped up. Just go down and click on the little blurb.
Is that what I did? Yeah, I just don't see an option for it though. I see no options. You want me to come out and come back in? What do I do?
Yeah. There you go.
All right, Blake.
No.
Not just like that, like all the way out.
Yeah, all the way out. Come back in.
All the way out. But don't hit the big red button.
No. Just close the tab. Don't click.
All right, I'm going to try that. Here we go.
Are we taking it home tonight,
We don't
Blake?
have word on this yet, Sandman. We don't have word. We're waiting.
Hey, Blake, are we taking it home tonight?
Yeah, we can.
I think we're going to.
I
just have a good feeling about it. Yeah, I mean, you got Nasty Nate, Big Game Nate. Like, there's not another guy I'd want going up for the clinching game, man. He's a real one, dude. And it's the way Seager's been playing.
All right, how we doing, Chad?
All right, I see the chat. I see it.
Boom.
I see it. And you know what? You know what, South End Zone Queen? How dare you?
Oh, I'm getting old.
How dare you? How dare you? I'm not even going to respond to that. I'm not even going to respond to that. Somebody says Catch enjoyed the furry stuff too much. Again, can't confirm that. Can't confirm it, but we can confirm that so far this is true. Text guy says Rangers are road warriors this year. Absolutely. There's a couple things I wanted to throw out to the Specs chat today, Keenan. One of them involves the Rangers. One involves the Longhorns. And as you see already, you've seen Blake, the super producer, pop in. He's wearing a Rangers hat. You've seen Keenan. He's rocking the Rangers hat. I've got the Rangers top on that I have worn throughout this series. Every time I've worn it and we've had a show, they've won that night. So I have continued not to wash, but to wear. It's got to keep the luck in there. And Keenan, I'm also going with an extra layer today. I've always had a layer underneath, but today it's a magical 2011 layer with the Dallas Maverick t-shirt underneath for some 2011 magic since the Mavs got it done in 2011. So for you Rangers fans, I need to know any and all details you want to share. Where's your nerve level, 1 to 10? What are your plans for this evening? Any good luck charms that you have? Like I said, I got the Mavs layer underneath, and I am going to be diligently watching every baseball, go into every glove, every foot on every bag, every detail, every nut, every bolt, every little thing that I can be watching tonight, Keenan. I'm going to be checking it out because now we've come all the way back from all the madness of 12 years ago, but now they still have to finish. There's still 27 outs to get. How nervous are you right now?
Man, I don't know if this is bad, but I'm not really. I just I don't know, man. I think they're just a better team than the Diamondbacks are, and they got Nasty Nate on the mound tonight, and I feel really good about it. I mean, the way Seager's swinging the bat, Simeon came alive recently. It's obviously a huge bummer that Garcia is going to be out for the rest of the series, but I think being up 3-1 is enough to overcome the injuries that they underwent. That's my thought.
Yeah, I definitely hope you're right there. It's been impressive to watch the guys stepping up for the hurt players. The idea that Gray was able to do what he did for Scherzer a couple games ago. The idea that last night, the guy that replaces Garcia in the lineup, Jankowski, ends up with big hits and runs scored and runs driven in. And just, I mean, the ingredients that they can throw in is amazing. 10 runs by the end of the third inning was remarkable. And the biggest compliment I can give Bruce Bochy right now is 10-0 on the road, 10-0 when they score first. I mean, you know it, and Blake knows it, and all the Rangers fans know it. I've been saying it the whole playoffs. They have to score first. They are one of the most important score-first teams I've ever watched in my life. It just gives them a whole nother kind of oxygen, and that stat's incredible. 10-0 in these playoffs when they score first, and 10-0 on the road, 10-0 in somebody else's barn. That's just crazy.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the Augie Garrido strategy of whoever draws first blood typically wins. And I mean, that's more of a college thing and playing small ball. But man, I'm just so impressed with how these guys have stepped up. Guys that weren't stars during the regular season, stepping up, getting big hits. It's just been really fun, man. And it kind of reminds me of the 2007 Mavericks to the 2011 Mavericks, how they got their hearts broken in the finals, and now they're back. And I can say with full honesty that this would make up for 2011 if they happen to win this World Series. They've been killing people, man.
Yeah, and let us know. Hey, if you're a Rangers fan and you have that feeling, let us know in terms of all of that, because it is true. It's rare that you get. First off, it's rare, obviously, that anybody would lose the way they lost in 2011. It's unique. During our lifetime, it's unique. The only thing I could come up with, Keenan, to compare it to today was Arkansas baseball. An Arkansas baseball fan has the right to tell us about those heartbreaks. I rewatched that play today, and I hate Arkansas. I never root for Arkansas.
Sure.
But that's a heartbreaking thing to watch.
It felt bad. It felt bad.
Three guys come together on a pop fly. If they catch it, it's over. Done, natty. Instead, the ball bounces. Literally in a couple pitches, Oregon State ties them up, and they never got it back. If you taunt the baseball gods, they will smash you in the face. That's what the Rangers did in 2011. That's why they lost. That's what the Giants did in 2002. Just ask Dusty Baker. That's why they lost. You do not taunt the baseball gods, and the Rangers have got to finish it tonight with 27 more outs.
Hey, real quick, guys. Can Arizona just not throw Corey Seager a ball below the neck or above the ankles? What are they doing?
I would just walk him, man.
Strikes?
I'd walk him in certain situations, I think. He's like a Jordan.
Blake, leave him alone. I think they're due. I think it's due to work. I think they just keep doing what they're doing. Eventually, it's going to work. That's the other guy. Above all else, maybe he's the one guy to mention about who has stepped up in place of your stud going out injured for Seager to keep playing like he's playing. And then you just got all kinds of different guys from Simeon to Carter to whoever is making plays. But Corey Seager, he's been incredible
People
to watch.
Forget what a savage he is in the postseason and what he did for the Dodgers those few years ago.
Yeah. Now you're right, Blake. It's like right now throwing like a fastball high to him is like testing Yordan Alvarez inside because you just think you're good at it. Like, no, seriously, he can't pull this pitch. I promise you. It's like, okay, good luck.
The beautiful thing about Seager lately is, usually he's a crush a fastball kind of guy, but his last 2 home runs have been off a changeup and a slider. And so just don't throw him a strike if you're the Diamondbacks. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's true. All right, so Rangers fans, if you want to give us your feelings, you can do that on the Specs chat. Astros fans, I'm sure you're into your feelings as well. Last night, when I went in to tell my wife goodnight, my wife, a Sugarland girl who roots for the Astros, I walk in and she says, "So is your game over?" And I said, "Yes, it is actually." "What was the final?" And I said, 11-7. And all she did was go, "Ugh." She didn't swear. She didn't get mad. She just went, "Ugh."
Just gross.
Just ugh. Yeah. So if you're an Astros fan and you need to process some feelings, we'll let you do that on the Specs chat. Shout out to Specs, Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. I know they made a lot of people's Halloween parties better last night with great drinks and cool, spooky food. But now that you're into November, hey, you know what's coming. Now it really cranks up when it comes to food and holidays. You got the Thanksgiving run coming. You got the Christmas run coming. And Specs will be there for you. Maybe you want a cool gift of, a really hard to find bourbon or wine or vodka or whatever it is, or it's the favorite vodka or beer of a friend of yours. Check out specsonline.com. They got a lot of cool ideas, and you can get the Specs app on your phone. Oscar, our super chat king right now. I don't think anybody's throwing more super chats at us than Oscar the last few days. So Oscar, you have become the bar, sir. $9.99. I'm a big Sark believer and defender, but capital letters. If this team is not prepared for Saturday, well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to do, but I won't be happy. See,
I don't know what I'm going to have to do, I think.
Got him so frazzled he just didn't type. Couldn't.
I think he probably tried to delete something
okay, gotcha. Yeah. Says they won't be happy if they're not prepared. And go Rangers. Oscar will second that one. And that takes me, Keenan, to what I want Longhorn fans to help us out with today. Because I've been thinking about this game this week, trying to figure out which way I'm going to go on the pick and how the game's going to play out and all that. And I sense exactly what Oscar just said. I sense that feeling coming from Texas fans. Oh, if Sark's not ready for this one. Oh, my, I just don't. If he doesn't understand, if he doesn't do this, if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't understand he should run the ball, all that kind of stuff. So I want to know from Texas fans, we're talking trust today. What's the thing about this team you trust the most right now? Could be Sark, it could be the defense, it could be Brooks, it could be Worthy, whatever. What do you trust about this team? They are 7-1 after all. They're number 7 in the first CFP. We'll get to that discussion here in a little bit and where they would be in an expanded playoff and what they need to do to maybe try to work their way into this playoff, all that stuff. So where are you today? What do you trust the most about this team? Keenan, for you right now, as a fan of this team, what is it you feel like you can trust going into Saturday morning?
Man, Jonathan Brooks has to be the number one guy for me. I think somebody just said that in the chat, or a couple of people did. Yeah.
Somebody said Jay Witt and Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, I think just Kansas State is one of those teams where you got to just out physical them. That's a Chris Kleiman thing. You know what I mean? Like. Mm-hmm. Arch has 0 turnovers. He does. I think here's the thing that I've been thinking about regarding college coaching, right? People always talk about developing players getting better over the course of 2 or 3 years. Why don't we talk about that with coaching? Clearly, Sarkisian is a better coach now than he was 2 years ago. I think it's like inarguable. Yes, there's some issues with red zone play calling, but overall, he has them much more prepared for these games, given he has more talent now. But I mean, they're 7-1. They're number 7. I mean, Texas fans haven't seen this in 15 years, really. It's been a long time since they've been a contender for real. And I think that Sark start being humble and realizing I don't know all the answers, and, hiring an awesome DC, bringing Kyle Flood with him. I think that stuff is super important. I think Sark is a much better game prepared for games more so than he was 2 years ago. That's just what I've seen.
Let us know what you think about that. There's a lot of good stuff coming in on the trust factor. Brooks and Arch Manning, because Arch hasn't turned the ball over. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Here's somebody throwing in more receivers. Worthy and Sanders and Mitchell are good too. We talked about it yesterday. Feels like Malik really likes throwing to Adonai Mitchell. Can you continue to make that a trust factor with this team? Also, somebody just double checking. Catch out today? He is. Catch is taking the day off. Nothing crazy going on. He's just got to take care of some other Orangebloods business. Also, remember, Catch is coming to town the next couple days. We got a big Thursday and Friday planned when it comes to House Divided. The two of us are going to meet up at Hayes City Store tomorrow, so Catch can finally have a little Hayes City Store. And then on Friday, this is why Catch is coming to town for Friday, 6 to 9. We're out at Pine House Brewing on Ben White. We're going to get some of the Orangebloods guys out there. Catch, myself, Blake, the super producer, Keenan, I believe, is going to be able to make it. Keenan, you're good Friday,
yes,
right?
Sir. I'll be there.
There you go. I have not been to the Ben White location yet, but I can't wait. I'm going to get out there, probably going to have a little cannonball because I love that pizza, probably going to have a little jellyfish, but I've also set a goal that I want to try a couple beers I haven't tried, and I want to leave that place with a couple of 4-packs that I'd never tried the beer either, because discovering a new Pine House beer, it's fantastic. You just know they're all good, but it's hard sometimes to get past the incredible beer that you just want to drink over and over and over and over and over and over. And I've had more electric jellyfish than I'd probably like to discuss right now in terms of volume. So I just try to get to that new beer, and they have some incredible ones.
That's so sorry.
Too broke to pay attention. Catch couldn't get a flight back from Arizona after jumping into the pool in the outfield last night. Okay, that was not Catch who jumped into the pool. That is not what that was. That is not what that was. Jeez. By the way, our man Sandman is on fire as always on the chat. I trust the red zone offense to disappoint me on a weekly basis, and he wants to let me know he feels compelled to quote the Bible to me. Okay. If you need to do that, Sandman, this Dabo thing this week taught us, hey, if you need to just quote the Bible to me to make me feel bad, you can certainly do that. All right, so the Specs chat. What's that?
That was my whole childhood, getting preach the Bible to me in mean ways.
Oh, is that right? Was that part of being a kid?
It was for me.
Yeah, well, and maybe it was. Baby. It might have been for Travis in Spartanburg, or sorry, Tyler in Spartanburg, who called Dabo up this week. So let us know what you think in terms of trust with Texas. And here's why I bring it up, Keenan. I started looking at some of the numbers, and I'm a big believer in, the best indicator of future actions is past actions. What has somebody done before to let you know what they're going to do? And so I started thinking earlier in the week, I'm like, can I really trust Sark? I've made comments. I've been snarky about Sark and a run game. I don't trust him to run that guy. I don't trust him to hand him that ball. I don't trust him. So I went and looked at the 2 games he's had against Kansas State. They've won both games. Now get this, Texas fans. He's also got 2 of his 1-score wins against K-State. The overall record is 5-11 in 1-score games. I've told you that part. So that means 2 of his 5 are against Kansas State. And for all those of you saying he's got to run the ball, does he know he needs to run? You've just told us on the chat. A lot of you immediately said, I trust the run game. I trust Brooks. I trust this team's ability to run. Guess what? When they play Kansas State, so does Sark. At K-State last year, he ran it 40 times. 2 years ago in Austin, he ran it 44 times. Keenan, I'd forgotten about the game in Austin, and I'm sure you had too, and I'm sure Blake, the super producer, had, and all the fans watching had. Do you know why? Because it was after that stupid 6-game losing streak. All of you were drinking so heavily and finding new chemicals and trying to find something high to jump off of that you weren't paying attention when Texas hosted Kansas State, and I had forgotten about it too. Texas threw 34 minutes of time of possession on them, and Roschon Johnson had 31 carries that day. Texas absolutely committed to the run. Last year, 40 carries total in Manhattan. And Bijan had 30 carries for Bijan Robinson last year. And guess what else, Texas fans? I looked through both of those games. Do you know what I didn't see? Over on downs. Not one. Didn't see it. In fact, I found, let me make sure I wrote it down. You're going to love it. I found 4th and 3 from the 6, kicked the field goal. I found 4th and goal from the 4, kicked the field goal. In a close game, in games that ended up being 1-score wins. So the question is that enough to make you trust that Sark knows what to do? Keenan, could it be possible that this just fits his eye? We're talking about baseball. Sometimes guys just, the matchup with a pitcher works for them. Sometimes the ballpark just works for them. It makes sense to, man, the batter's eye in Detroit. I don't know what it is, dude. I don't play there much, but God, it's perfect for me. Maybe Kansas State is like Sark's just perfect matchup to see it the way he needs to see it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, Kansas State used to kind of have Texas' number a little bit. I think they beat them several times. And even when Texas was really good, I remember distinctly, I think it was 2007 they lost to Kansas State when McCoy was a sophomore. But it's funny that now that Sark is here, their record against Kansas State is so much, he's 2-0, which, I think that's it's a good benchmark considering the success Kansas State has had. I mean, everybody thinks TCU won the Big 12 last year. They did not. Kansas State won the Big 12. Kansas State beat TCU in that game. So I think that, Kansas State is one of those programs that is just like going to wear you down. They're like the grit and grind Grizzlies, Memphis Grizzlies of 15 years ago. They're just physical. They're not that flashy, but they get 5 yards in a cloud of dust, that kind of thing, attack you defensively. I think this is maybe the most important game Sark has coached as the head coach of Texas. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, to me, from the opponent and from those past couple games, this might be the perfect opponent for him to have right now if it is this important a game. Got a lot of good chats coming in. Remember, we love those super chats. Darwin throws us a chat here. K-State will try to beat us physically. I don't believe it will work. There you go, Darwin. Also, this is an interesting point. Didn't realize it. They're honoring Ricky on Saturday. Brooks needs a Ricky-like day. Yeah, and again, I'm telling you, last 2 games against K-State, 31 carries for a running back, 30 carries for a running back. How many will number 24 get? We will see. This text guy says with QE out, it's easier to trust the defense, but even then, defense is going to have to be good in this one.
See, and this is the question I just put in the chat as a poll, Chad. And we were talking about who we trust the most, and it's the running game was most popular in the chat. But overall, it seems people trust the Texas defense more than the Texas offense.
Interesting. I'll tell you one of the matchups I love, boys. I'll keep talking about this one this week. This is a game where it's obvious always to talk about certain things, right? Oh, turnovers are big or third downs are big or this. It's always obvious. But in certain games, I think they really get highlighted. Third down in this game, I think, is critical. And check this stat out. Kansas State is 4th in the country in converting third downs. Texas is 3rd in the country stopping it. So that's your matchup. Texas gives up 28% on third down when they're on defense. Kansas State converts it at 55%. Keenan, I am convinced that what Kansas State wants to do is get a hold of the clock and not let it go. They want to take drives away from Texas. They want long, sustained drives, calm the crowd down, get it down to a dull roar at DKR, and then just long drives, 10, 15-play drives. So those third down moments, they're always important. I get that. This is a game where I just think it's even. Like you could give up a couple third downs against BYU. They actually did well against BYU in that regard. But in this game, back to these other couple games, check this out, Keenan. 2 years ago, 1 of 9 on third down for K-State. Last year, 5 of 12, which is okay, but Texas was 8 of 15. Texas converting third downs. Here's another reason why I think it's big for Texas when they have the ball too. They went 8 for 16 2 years ago, 8 for 15 last year. So that's another factor. Sark runs the ball. He hands the ball to a guy you want him to hand it to over and over and over again. And he is able to convert big third downs, and he stops the other team from doing it. Now, you do that, you're winning this game Saturday.
Oh, yeah. I think those stats about the amount of carries Roschon and Bijan got, that's crazy. Like, I remember the most carries I think I've ever seen in a college football game for one guy was, you remember that running back for South Carolina, Marcus Lattimore?
Yep.
He had I think a 40 carry game.
Damn.
Yeah. Which should be illegal, but
Yeah, what a beast he was.
Oh, God. Man, he was so good. But, yeah, I think obviously third down is a big indicator of scheme and how you stop one play. 28% defensively is insane.
Yeah, that's a great crazy number. Great number. Third in the country.
And 55% is crazy, too, for Kansas State. More than half the time they convert. That's crazy.
Yep, and they're pretty good too on interesting. Another reason maybe to keep an eye. They are 6th in the country defending third downs. They only give up 29.
Wow.
So Texas gives up 28%. They give up 29. They're both that good at stopping third downs and stuff. So it's a something's got to give when it comes to the third down situation. So just some numbers to keep in mind over these last couple. It is going to be wild to see. Also, a number I always look at because I'm an old football fan, but time of possession, Kansas State is 14th in the country. They average a little over 32 minutes. I think Texas can beat Kansas State if they allow about 32. They've done that in one of these last two games. The game they didn't win time of possession, they gave up like 32, 33 minutes. What they can't do is the 34, 35, 36. That's what you can't allow to K-State. So just something to keep in mind there. We'll keep looking at the stats and the matchups and all that good stuff as we roll along. Let's grab a super chat here because our man James threw us a cold $1.99. Thank you, James. The 07 K-State game was rough. Jordy Nelson went off. Oh, God. Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, I remember that game. Jordy Nelson did go. He went crazy, too.
Yeah, there was that time period where Texas fans were, I think, rightfully nervous about playing Kansas State. I don't think it's really the case anymore. It feels like Sark gets how to beat this team, and we'll see if he can do that again. All right, speaking of Texas, the new CFP did come out last night. We will take a look at that. Before we do it, though, let me talk a little sinus and snoring specialist, one of our great partners around here. And let me tell you what, last night, my bed partner was silent. I heard quiet. Dog was in the bed, racked out. Wife was in the bed, racked out. CPAP machine was hooked up and rolling. Here's what's great about the CPAP if you don't know anything about them, because I hadn't experienced having one in the room with me. I'm thinking, well, what's it going to be like? Is it going to sound like some outboard motor? Is it going to sound like a white noise machine? What am I having to deal with? Folks, I'm telling you, I can't hear it. Now, it is true. My wife likes a fan running in the room anyway, and we do have a white noise machine. But even if I try, even if I go and lean, I do not hear it. So they're really quiet. That's been awesome. And then the fact that she's getting good results and good numbers and good sleep off of this thing, it's just great. I'm happy for her. I'm so proud of her for doing it. And if it's finally time for you to make that choice, this is the place where you need to go. That's your QR code. Thank you for scanning that code. I know some of you have already gone in and told them you saw it here on Orangebloods Live. I've been sleeping great since 2017. I was 85% blocked in my nasal passages. Now I'm breathing in and out through my nose when I sleep like I'm supposed to be doing. And by the way, that reminds me, my wife said something to me the other day about the taping your mouth thing. It's still kind of out there. Listen to what I'm saying. Do not even think about taping your mouth shut. Ever. Never. Not once. Not ever. Don't do it. Go see Dr. Slaughter with sinus and snoring specialist. Do you need to breathe better through your nose? Yes. Is taping your mouth shut the way to do that? Oh, no. No, it is not. Don't do that to yourself, because then you're getting into other trouble issues you do not want to get into. Do it the right way. Go to sinus and snoring specialist. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. All right. So last night we did get the new CFP, and the group of fans that are pissed off, I guess, would be Washington fans. Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State. Then Washington left on the outside. But the most important part is, where is Texas, and where the hell, and what would it look like if we had an expanded 12-team playoff? Let's get a peek at it. Let's get a look.
Sounds cool.
Let's show the people. Let's just show them what it would look like. There it is. Now, remember, when I put this together, I'm taking that highest ranked G5, which is Tulane up at the top, and I'm inserting them into the 12 spot, because we all know a G5 has to get in. So for next year, it may end up being 2 G5s, but I won't mess with that for now. But Tulane, interestingly enough, jumped ahead of Air Force at the end of the list last night. They're 24, Air Force is 25. So that's why Tulane ends up there. But check out these matchups. We'd have home games for Washington, for Bama. How about Bama OU? The culture clash in Tuscaloosa. Yeah. The Sooner folks going to Alabama. How great would that be as an 8-9? Then you get Oregon hosting Penn State. So Outson would host. And oh, look at there. DKR would host. So, Keenan, if we were in that world already, what Saturday, this is where some of the cynics will say, well, then the regular season doesn't matter. Well, of course it matters. Texas would be playing Kansas State to stay in the playoff. Yep. What's more important than that?
That's pretty much the whole goal, I think.
Right?
That's why you're paying Sarks, whatever, $6 million a year, whatever he's making.
By the way,
Texas, I'm. Oh, sorry. Did you have something to say?
No, you're good. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm excited for a 12-team playoff. Like, I understand the arguments against it as far as it devalues the meaning of the regular season, and part of the charm of college or intrigue, I guess I should say, of college football is that the regular season is so important, and that's the criticism with the sport I cover primarily is college basketball. It's like, what pre-conference, like, why are you even playing? You know what I mean? Like, people don't care about pre-conference games. It's mostly about recruiting. But yeah, I think that would be I can't wait, dude. Like, I know people are hating on it. They're like, this is, BS, but like, it's more college football. Like, why would you not want that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And it will, I think the people that don't know yet, it'll teach them once they start to see it and they realize which conference, there's so many games that are going to be for conference seeding and conference positioning. I'll give you 2 other teams to pay attention to from last night. The 2 teams right now that are playing some pretty good football that everybody forgets because they can't get into this playoff. But what if we had an expanded playoff and teams like Notre Dame and LSU weren't out of it yet? Those teams are sitting at about that 14-15 spot in the AP and in the college football playoff. And oh, by the way, Notre Dame goes to Clemson this week. And oh, by the way, LSU goes to where? Bama this week. You're telling me those games, right? You're telling me those games wouldn't mean even more? LSU, a chance to knock Bama either down or out of the playoff. And they wouldn't maybe knock them out, but Bama's sitting at 9 right now. We just told you, or should be at 8. They're at 8. So how far would they fall if they lost? LSU would definitely jump in. There's just so many cool machinations of this. And obviously with Texas at 7, to me, Keenan, you tell me if you agree, but I get the logic of how they're laying it all out. They went, when Texas and Bama are right together, you give Texas the nod because they won the game. But because Oklahoma lost to a non-ranked team, now actually, I guess technically it's a low-ranked team because Kansas did jump in after they beat them. But with that loss, as long as you put a spacing in between, I have no problem with Texas being above Oklahoma. I know people want to gripe about, what about the head-to-head and all that? I only care about the head-to-head if you're right next to each other. They got the Washington-Oregon one right because Washington won that. They got Texas-Bama. So do you agree that that makes sense to you, or would you rather see – I know you're a Texas guy, so you want to see Texas ahead of OU, but does something in you say, wait a minute, they both have one loss and OU should be ahead because they won the game?
No. I mean, look at was it 2008 where Texas beat OU, Tech beat Texas, OU beat Tech? OU got out of that one. OU went to the national title. So no, I think head to head, like you said, head to head only matters if it's like a neck and neck deal for me, unless it's like a blowout or something. But yeah, I'm excited for the format because I feel like this year in particular has had much more parity than most seasons of the last, almost 10 years, I would say. This is the most wide open it's ever been for the last decade, I'd think. The last time I can remember a crazy season kind of like this was like 2007, and that was way crazier because, there was the number 2 team lost like 6 weeks in a row. But yeah, man, I think really quick, though, I wanted to bring something up. One of the playoff teams, he's playing really good ball. I know they just lost, but dude, Penn State is good. Penn State's for real, dude.
Think so?
Yeah, man. I think that quarterback, Aller, is like pretty damn good. And then real quick, Alabama LSU, quick story. My freshman year of college, I was a fraternity pledge, and I had to drive these like 5th-year seniors to Baton Rouge. And we went to Alabama LSU in 2012.
Nice.
And oh my God, it was so fun. It was the Trent Richardson like 70-yard screen to win it. Loudest stadium, man. DK Arkansas Alabama was right there too, but bro, those Cajuns go hard.
Yeah, the night games in Baton Rouge are just absolutely crazy. That's definitely one. Texas fans, add that to your list. By the way, speaking of that game, Jay Ward says need Alabama to smack LSU around a little bit. Yeah, if you are watching that Texas resume, I guess you do want the Bama win to continue to look as good as it can look. So you'd want Bama to keep again, not too much. You want them to keep winning and then lose to Georgia. That's what you're going to need ultimately if Texas is really thinking playoff, because you don't need Bama to storm all the way through and beat Georgia, because then Georgia, if it's close, Georgia probably still gets in if it's their only loss. So we just have to kind of watch how all that plays out. Obviously, another team you might want to root for this week if you're a Texas fan, Missouri. Just a lot of people rooting for Missouri to go to Georgia and get that win, even though they probably won't do it. But Jay Ward, good to hear from you. By the way, another one from Jay Ward, who says currently watching Master of Disguise on one screen and House Divided on the other. Cold day in Tennessee.
The
all
Dana Carvey masterpiece, dude.
How about that? Go ahead, Jay Ward. Go ahead. Also, I like this one. Like this one from a Texas fan earlier, if we didn't get to it. Zion, use the damn kicker. Don't take points off the board because you're trying to prove your offense works. Zion, I agree with you. But again, back to those numbers. The last 2 games, there's been none of that. And maybe it's because the down and distance just works out, but he's taken those moments. 4th and short from inside the tent, he's kicked it. He's kicked those field goals, and he's won 2 one-score games from Kansas State. I think he might have to do that again, by the way, on Saturday. I think Kleiman and that group are going to put up a hell of a fight, but I'm kind of leaning more towards trusting Sark on this one, and that's why I'm asking Texas fans, are you guys ready to trust Sark? I've bitched about him not handing the ball off, not going with the run game, but this game has just fit his eye really well. The golf analogy is probably the best one. They always talk about it there, right? Man, this course just fits his eye. Man, Rory shows up to this number 12 hole, and something about it makes sense to him. It fits his shot perfectly. It just feels like this opponent fits Sark's mindset for this one game. And in this one game, when he thinks all gas, no brakes, he thinks 4x4 in the mud physical all gas. He thinks of it as we're going mudding with a running back and we're going to just slosh them all over the place. And he's done it. So do y'all trust him? That's kind of what we're talking about today. And we're getting a lot of good stuff in on the Specs chat. All right. Before we continue, and we do have buy or sell coming up at 1, I'm going to see if I can get into some of Keenan's feelings about tonight and the Rangers and what it would mean to him. We'll get into that. Plus a couple things. I also have one that involves my Aggies. I'm freaked out about that game a little bit. I want to get Keenan's thoughts there. Real quick, though, let's get you a little break. We got a couple breaks we'll hit you with. Blake, let's hit him with the old-fashioned break, which will give him a little taste, because I sense there's some missing of Ketchum today. I sense some folks are missing Mr. Ketchum. But here's
how I miss him, dude.
Here's a reminder. We all miss Catch. Here's a reminder about a couple different places you can see Catch. But here's a little taste of one of the other shows on Orangebloods Live, and then we'll be right back on House Divided. It is Orangebloods Live.
And Texas has played kind of an uneven brand of football at times over the course of the month of October. I got to just honestly, like, I can't tell you the game that it's going to happen in, but if they don't start playing more like September brand of football and less like October brand of football, I think there's a possible loss in there for Texas. And, you know, this is a major moment this is a crossroads moment for Steve Sarkisian because they are on the cusp of really having a great season. It's been a great start. Quite frankly, 7-1 at this point in the year, given how long it's been since they've been with that record, 8 games into the season, an absolute success. But if they fumble it away in these last 4 games, the only thing that people will remember is the fumbling away part. So it is impaired. This is, I mentioned it a week ago, Steve Sarkisian has to be at his best. It is one of the wild cards going into Saturdays. What do you get from this offense? What happens when Sarkisian gets off the script? They're going to probably be really good in the first quarter. And I think one of the keys to this game is getting ahead early on Kansas State and making them play outside of their comfort zone. If Texas can go up 14-0, 14-3, 21-3, like they have each of the last 2 weeks, I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered. But Texas got to play better in the middle of these football games. 2 weeks in a row, they've essentially gone 40 minutes of game time with not good offense. They didn't score at all for 37 minutes of game time against Houston 2 weeks ago. And yesterday or Saturday, 40 minutes, I think it was like 40 minutes and 3 seconds or something like that. Slightly more than 40 minutes where Texas had one offensive possession that ended with a touchdown against a bad defense. You know, they have to play better against Kansas State or they can lose that game.
There you go. A little taste of the old-fashioned show. So that's every weekday morning, 8 to 11 with Anwar Richardson. Now, even earlier than that, if you don't know, you got Get Your Horns Up, 6:30 every weekday morning, 6:30 to 7:30. You've got the crew waking up with you. You've got Aaron and Zach and who am I missing, Blake? Travis, thank you. Aaron, Zach, and Travis getting up with you for Get Your Horns Up. That's at 6:30.
I've been on that show before. I regretted getting up at 6:20.
But hey, some people are up that early. If you're up and you need some content, like
I'm
maybe
such
you're like
a lazy POS, dude.
Maybe you're like Jay Ward. You're hanging in Tennessee. It's cold. You need something to watch. So then 8 to 11 is the old-fashioned show. Sometimes it runs a little shorter because Anwar's got to get over to a press conference or whatever at UT. But what you just saw there was a little taste. You probably saw it on the screen. Overreaction Monday. Every Monday at 9 a.m., Catch will jump on with Anwar. For those of you that miss seeing Catch and Anwar together, oh, man, they're not together anymore. Well, they do a lot of stuff together. They're doing the post-game show together, discussing things. And Overreaction Monday happens 9 a.m. every Monday. So shout out to Anwar and the incredible job that he does. He'll be at DKR Saturday morning at 11, getting ready for Texas and K-State. And yes, Catch is off today, taking care of some other Orangebloods business because, again, we got some things going on the next couple days, namely that Pint House event on Friday. Let's remind you again, 6 to 9 at the Ben White location. Obviously, at this point, myself and Keenan and Blake, the super producer, we all hope that we have already dealt with the Rangers winning the World Series by that point, and we won't have to go through the drama of a Game 6. But if there is a Game 6, we'll be watching it out at Pint House Brewing. So we'll see. I had said I thought they were going to get 2 out of 3 in Arizona. So tonight we'll see if it's just 2 out of 3 or if it's all 3. But come join us 6 to 9. There'll be a Q&A. Ketch is going to be there. I'll be there. Keenan will be there. Blake, the super producer, will be there. We're trying to get some of the other Orangebloods guys lined up as well. But come on out.
Sims going?
He may be, I think. I know Zach was
try.
asking about it earlier.
Yeah.
But basically this boils down to if you've always wanted to meet Jeff Ketchum, figure out what he might be all about, ask him a question, see if you can, force him into a corner with some kind of weird question you've always wanted to ask. Trust me, he's been to a ton of these things. He's been asked all of it. He ain't afraid of your question. So bring it on out. Let's have some Pine House and have a good time on Friday. All right. It is November 1st. Thanks again to Keenan Womack for jumping in today. We're going to get into more Texas basketball specific conversations at 1:20. I want to get Keenan's thoughts on this team. He's gotten a chance to get his eyes on this team a little bit. They've already had a scrimmage and they've already had an exhibition game that some folks were able to take a look at. Moody Center, getting Moody Center stretched out and knock the rust off, ready for year 2, right? This is year 2 of Moody for Texas. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Love that place. Love Moody. And I know the basketball fans have really enjoyed it for that. So we got buy or sell coming up here at 1, and then we'll jump into some Texas basketball conversation at 1:20. But again, we're getting a lot of your football thoughts today. Let's roll through some chats here real quick. Again, we love your super chats. If you want to throw us some of that and contribute to the project here. Craig says, I doubt they can match the speed of our receivers. That's definitely something that I would agree with. If Quinn Ewers is quarterback in this game, Keenan, I think Kansas State would be in a really bad matchup. What I'm interested to see now is how much trust do you think Sark would have built in Malik's ability to throw the ball to different areas of the field? Do you think he trusts that deep ball because of the touchdown to Mitchell? How much would you trust Malik throwing if you're Sark this week?
I think you don't really have an option. I think you have to trust him. I think you have to throw the ball. You have to, spread the field out so you can run the ball. You have to stretch you have to get the linebackers to drop into coverage. It has to be a threat or the run game's not going to work. Even if you run the ball 40 times, he has the last couple of games against the Wildcats. I just think you have to have at least the intermediate game going. I actually really am impressed with Malik's deep ball, though. I think it's pretty damn good for one college game. He really can rip it. And another thing that I like about Malik that isn't on the stat sheet, that team loves him, dude. That team rallies around him. They love him. Sark loves him. Flood loves him. And I think the most important coach this weekend might not be Sark. I think the most important coach might be Kyle Flood, because the offensive line is going to dictate how this game goes. Now, I know he's the OC, but he doesn't call plays, but the fact that he is really turned this offensive line into kind of a force. There are certain things they're better at than they are. There are certain things they're not amazing at yet either, but man, this seems like this is the first time they've been able to control the trenches in 15 years. That's what it feels like to me, at least, coming from a guy who's not a football writer, but that's what
No, there have been moments this year where maybe could argue at times Sark doesn't lean into it enough, but I think there's been some games this year where that offensive line has just been killing it. I mean, they've been after it, and maybe they don't commit to it enough at times, but we'll see. Again, the history would tell you he does commit to it in this game. When he sees that K-State helmet, something clicks in his brain of, we're going to run the football. Run it again. Something clicks in his head when he sees it. By the way, a couple other chats here on a different topic. Somebody says, need Harbaugh to leave in the offseason before the Horns go to Michigan next year. Coming up in the crap bag, we'll get you the update on the Michigan sign stealing thing, because there's new stuff like every day on that mess. Somebody says, all the way back in the spring, JDH says, I had him 11-1. I will stick with it. Although someone else on the chat, Gary, says, I'm with Ketch. I believe Sark is going to drop some of these next games, you just get this feeling of, is it, if it all works and keeps going, do they just stay on a roll, or could there be a slip up coming? Because the one thing now we've seen, Keenan, with the performance of Oklahoma State, with the performance of the rest of the conference, because I believed in the offseason was that Texas could get to Jerry World with 2 conference losses. I predicted 3 overall. I thought Bam would get them, and I thought they'd lose 2 in conference. But I thought that would still be good enough to be the second team. That may not be the case now, depending on just, how it plays out. They can obviously give Kansas State and Iowa State their second conference losses and kick them out. And then the loser of Bedlam this week now will have 2. But it really does feel like if they're going to get in with 2 conference losses, they're going to be maybe in a weird tiebreaker with somebody that they're going to have to win. So I just feel like the margins have changed a little bit from where I thought the conference was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the bounce back of Oklahoma State is pretty legendary, man. They got worked at home by South Alabama a few weeks ago. I mean, worked. I think they lost 33-7 or something. Like, they got 26-7. The fact that Gundy has turned them around to a team, I mean, part of that is Ollie Gordon. I mean, oh my God, that dude is a badass. That running back for Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. He's in top 10 on the Heisman now. I mean, obviously he's not going to win it because Oklahoma State isn't good enough. He doesn't have the stats, but the fact he's getting put up there is a big deal and an indication that he's somebody you need to stop. So I think, going forward, I think the most important things are going to be Malik not turning it over and just crushing the offensive line of the opponent with T'Vondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Vernon Broughton. I think those guys are really going to be the key to the defense's success. And I think that they better win out if they want to go to the Big 12 championship. I predicted 10-2 at the beginning of the year. I predicted Alabama loss, and then I predicted somebody else to beat them. I don't think it was OU. I think it was somebody else. But I think this might be the most important game Sark has coached at Texas, given the context, I guess.
Yeah. By the way, thanks to over 200 folks in the Specs chat. We appreciate you. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. Welcome to November. Mac Brown always said they'll remember November. Mac is hoping you don't remember October, because that's when he lost 2 in a row to Virginia, Georgia Tech. So forget October. If you're a North Carolina fan, he wants you to start remembering maybe now. But obviously November is huge with the games that we're going to have coming up. How about this? What's an interesting chat? I don't know if I'd go this far if I'm a Texas fan. Tell me your thoughts, Keenan. There's a feeling of impending doom. Really, Rhett? Impending doom. They're 7-1. They're 7 in the CFP, and they just beat a conference opponent by 29. I know it was a new one. I know, but they handled their business, didn't they? You didn't have one moment where you thought they were going to lose to BYU. Defense stepped on them. It was 3rd and 12 all day. You got a punt return for a touchdown. You got a strip sack and fumble recovery. Justice Finkley gave you a fumble. That didn't give you enough good feeling to impending doom, Keenan. That's an interesting phrase I wouldn't have expected.
Yeah, I can't say I agree with that. I mean, I think that's kind of battered fan syndrome setting in, here we are again. It's a big game. It's a Texas football game against a team that has, less talent, a team that's considered more gritty. It's a tough game. And I like what somebody said in the chat. There are no trap games left. These are all tough game. Even the teams that aren't that great, you need to come out and blast them like they did to Brigham Young, like they did to Baylor or whoever, So I think this Kansas State game is going to tell us a lot about the resolve of this team. But I'm as neutral as I can be, but I think they're going to win. I don't believe in jinxes or anything. So, I get people yelling at me. You're it's like, no, because there's a million people who said the same thing and the opposite. There's no way I'm the one that tipped the scales. But yeah, I think they got a really good shot to go to the Big 12 championship, and I think they got a good shot to win it.
There you go. Look at that. Look at that. In the last minute, we've had impending doom and that. See, you get a balance. You got the balance in the house divided. We'll see if we can get that vibe going on a Wednesday. By the way, of course, both house divided teams play at 11 o'clock on Saturday. We will be taking care of that watch along. Texas K-State, Catch, myself, brought to you by Pine House. Come join us here on Orangebloods Live. If you are not heading to the game yourself, it's always a lot of fun doing that. Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, we'll get you a little taste of the watch along in case you haven't seen those. But also, my Aggies going to Oxford at 11 o'clock on Saturday. So I'll be peeking in on that. We'll keep you updated on the score of what's going on there, and you'll probably see some of my reaction. So if like something really like nothing is happening in the Texas game, but you see me start swearing in another direction, there's probably a reason for that. We'll have that on Saturday as well. Before we get to buy or sell, Julian's got a weird idea. I'm always up for a weird idea, Julian. So here we go. Julian says, include Casey Kane in some red zone, specifically inside the 10-yard line situations. Use his height as a mismatch.
Like as a receiver or
Guess
as
so.
a quarterback?
Guess so.
I've seen him do both.
How
tall is Casey Kane?
Kane is – that's a good question.
I feel like Adonai Mitchell and Jatavion Sanders are their real red zone targets.
Casey Kane. Has he not had a catch this year? He hasn't had a catch this year.
I mean, he's played mostly in the backfield, I feel like, right? He's probably got some rushes.
I do not know.
Has he thrown it?
My guess is like 6'2", but I don't know off the top of my head. That is crazy.
Yeah, I like Sanders and Adonai Mitchell in the end zone a lot. I'm surprised they haven't gone, to those guys more. It's weird. I didn't really see many back shoulder fades, which I feel like is the ball to throw to Adonai Mitchell. Like that seems like his bread and butter is just going up in the end zone, snagging it. I mean, you saw what he was able to do in national title games. That guy does not get doesn't get rattled, and I think part of that is, you get a guy who transfers from Georgia. You got guys who have transferred from Alabama. You got a coach that came from Alabama. And one of the most important things that I've heard any of the players say was about a month ago is Keelan Robinson. I think it was after the Alabama game, so maybe a little longer. But they were like, what is the difference between how Sark prepares his team and how Saban does? And he said nothing. It is basically identical, which probably a good blueprint to follow if you're trying to do college football at a big level. So
that's good to hear. If you're a Texas fan,
I think Sark is gonna come out and I think he's gonna surprise some doubters. I really do.
All right. If you want to jump into the chat, feel free. Specs chat up over 200, almost 220 folks in there right now. We appreciate it. We're about to hit buy or sell and the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to get into some Texas basketball discussion as well. Blake, you got something for the people? I see you cooking something up over there.
I was just wondering, if say Malik Murphy doesn't have his deep ball dialed in and we need someone to step in, the Longhorns have two other players with over a 300 quarterback rating.
Oh, here we go.
Xavier Worthy and Savion Red can throw the ball. Let them sling it.
Here we go. Let me tell you what you do inside the 10. When the line of scrimmage is a single digit, there are two things I would recommend: handing it to number 24 or throwing it to number 24, or throwing it to someone who's already in the end zone.
Number 5.
Those are my two ideas. The throw the ball to when you're on the 1 and you throw a pass route, that route does not need to be to a man who's also on the 1.
Yeah.
He needs to be in the end zone, on the paint, feet on the paint. That's what you're looking for. Because Keenan's talking about a back shoulder fade. But Keenan, you're not imagining that happening at the 1, are you?
No. I mean,
no, it's in the end zone, right? It's in the end zone.
Yeah. They're basically doing the basketball equivalent of a dump off pass. Like you drive the rack and then you just dump it off. And yes, to Craig Semlinger, no Wildcat, please.
No. That's the thing. There's no reason. See, that's where this is where I battle with it all the time because I dig Sark as a play caller.
Yeah.
I've championed the man as a play caller. And I know everybody loves to think all gas, no brakes. And what does it mean? And how does he interpret it? But I've always said, I think when he gets himself in trouble, it's not because he goes too cute. It's like not cute enough sometimes. But in those cases, he does get sort of stuck between. And it's like there is an over cuteness to that moment. Well, wait a minute. We've got to walk. Well, stop. There's no need. There's no need to get cute there. Here's another little bit of cuteness I haven't heard discussed this week. That fumble in the game, the Malik play action, and then the ball gets caught up. That play felt way too. That play didn't need to. A, why is he under center if he's not comfortable? B, just hand the ball off there. It's 1st and 10 from the 8 or whatever it was. Just hand it off. You went under center, play action with a little swing out to Worthy. Why not just put him in shotgun and have him throw it to Worthy? If that's the play, why make it more difficult than it needs to be? I just thought there were too many moving parts in that play. Like, go. And to me, if you're all gas there was, well, Chad Worthy's a badass, I'd say, I agree. Just throw him the ball. Why be efficient and not so, I don't know, cluttered with your all gas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, remember the game last year where Worthy just had that little out route that he ran to seal the game? I forget which game it was. Last year was like a walk-off win for Texas where Worthy –
Iowa State.
It was a 4th and 1.
I think it was Iowa State.
Iowa State.
Yeah, the whip route, that little whip route.
Oh, my God.
Why haven't we seen that? With him, poor A.D. Mitchell did it multiple times at Georgia for touchdowns and big moments.
Yeah,
let's see those guys work on the edges.
Great point. All right, as you can see, it is Ranger Fan Central today. We got the hats, we got gear, we got all kinds of hopefully good mojo around today. So we are thinking about the Rangers today, and we were asking people earlier about what they're doing Ranger-wise, your good luck charms and your thoughts on today and how nervous you are. But also Texas fans, what can you count on the most? What do you trust most about this team? Let us know in the Specs chat. We are over that 1 o'clock hour mark, so that means it is time for a little buy or sell. Keenan, would you like to go first or second today in buy or sell?
I'll go first.
You will go first. All right, hit it.
All right, let me pull up my questions.
All right. Oh, look at that. He's got them ready. He's like,
oh, you got them ready, bro.
Always prepared.
Oh, I thought you were saying. Okay, I'm pulling it up. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Question number 1, Mr. Chad. Buy or sell? Malik Murphy is good enough to beat Kansas State this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy as long as he's got Jonathan Brooks and TJ Baxter out there with him. I do think there's definitely a game plan that can be put together where use the weapons around him. I absolutely think he can beat him. No doubt.
Cool. All right. Buy or sell number 2. Corey Seager is the best baseball player in the world right now, not named Shohei Ohtani.
Oh man, yeah, it's got to be up there. And going into tonight, I'm going to go ahead and say buy, especially when if we're talking about current baseball players that are currently available to be in a roster. Because with what Adolis Garcia has been doing, I think he probably needs to be in that discussion. But if we're saying healthy baseball players, yeah, let me have Seager. Buy. What he's been doing is amazing, and I don't even know what Blake was talking about earlier. Diamondbacks. What they always say about Seager is keep challenging him up high in the zone, and eventually he'll crack. That's what they say about him. I'd keep going there. I don't know. Just keep going.
Yeah, I love Seager. I think I'm going to buy a Seager jersey.
Good call.
Buy or sell number 3. Kansas State this weekend is the biggest Texas home game since the Missouri home game in 2009.
Ooh. I will sell because the LSU game blinked in my head when you said it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I won't. I would say maybe every big one now. I feel like biggest, and then Bama was last year. I mean that place has hosted some dogs in terms of conference games. If you'd made that qualification, That may be the discussion, and it's wild that you'd go back that far for a conference game that mattered this much, but
yeah,
God, it might be all the way back to that one. I really enjoyed that game too for Texas fans and the team and Colt. They took it to Missouri that day, and I'd love to see them do the same to K-State. But I'll sell and still think about those two SEC opponents coming in.
Sure. All right, another Rangers one. Buy or sell? Your Texas Rangers win the World Series tonight.
Whoo! I certainly hope so. But I'm going to sell and say they have to do it at home. I'm going to say they have to figure it out in Game 6. I said they'd win 2 out of 3 in Arizona, so I'm going to give Arizona the love. I'm going to also hopefully not risk any weird mojo, and I'm going to say sell and say the Rangers have to do it back at home in the barbecue grill.
All right, number 5. This is a question for your alma mater. Buy or sell? Evan Stewart will be the best wide receiver in college football next season and a top 15 draft pick.
Wow.
The talent's there. It's about the quarterbacking, I think.
It is absolutely there, but I'll sell. The talent is there. I would love for that to be the case, but right now I'll sell because I just haven't seen a plan being put together that would actually set him up that way.
I just think he's physically maybe the most talented college receiver. He's so unbelievable.
Good. Man, he is
now,
so
although,
so
you know who's really good too is the Ohio State dude, Harrison.
Yep.
And then the Washington receivers are badasses.
Oh, Adunze is a great receiver. Yeah.
And then that Missouri team has a badass receiver, Burden. So there's some badass receivers out there. But I think Evan Stewart is like.
Yeah, Stewart's great. Isn't it funny how you look back at that Washington beating Texas in a bowl game, and some people thought, I can't believe Washington beat Texas. I can't believe that. And you look at them now and you go, that's a pretty damn good group of receivers.
Yeah. Penix is good. Those receivers are good. Their O-line's good. Their defense is pretty good. They got some stars.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, that was 5, right?
It was.
Okay, we are halfway through. Buy or sell. Coming up at 1:20, we'll dig into Texas basketball and get Keenan's thoughts on the team so far. Keenan, buy or sell, number 1. Longhorns beat K-State, and they cover the 4.
I'll buy that. Yeah, I think, Kansas State is obviously really good, and they're really well coached. But I don't know, man. I just think this Texas team is different than what we've seen in the past. Like, there's this saying in gambling that morons bet trends, right? So you're like, okay, they've won 6 in a row. Like, that isn't really that relevant. Like, this is a 1-game sample size between the two teams. I don't think Texas is going to be freaked out. I really like that they're at home for it. I think Malik is going to have a much easier time playing at home. And I think they're going to win, man. I just think JB is going to have a great game. I think here's my weird prediction. Not weird, but kind of obscure. I think the player of the game is going to be Jatavian Sanders. I think that guy is going to have to be really good. I don't know. They should run more seam routes with him because I remember that working last year a lot, especially against Oklahoma. But, I mean, Sanders he's so big. He's so fast. He's so athletic. Right now, he's considered the number 2 tight end in the country by maybe Mel Kiper or Todd McShay, one of those guys. So that guy is your weapon. They need to get him the ball.
All right, buy or sell number 2. Let's see how bold you want to be. The Rangers will win the World Series, but it will take 6. You agree with me?
I think they're going to win it tonight, actually. They got Eovaldi on the mound. They're just on fire. The bats picked up last night in a huge way. As the previous 2 games, it was really just the Corey Seager show, but man, everybody contributed last night. Everybody's getting hits. Jankowski was great, replacing Garcia. I just think they're too much for the Diamondbacks, and I think they're going to take home their first world championship tonight.
I certainly hope you are right, sir. All right, buy or sell number 3, back to my Aggies and Evan Stewart. Check this out. The line on A&M at Ole Miss has gone from Rebels by 4.5 to 4 to 3.5 to 3. And you'd have taken the Aggies at plus 4.5 if you could have gotten it.
Man, they are really starting to play better, but I don't know, man. Here's the problem with Lane Kiffin. Does he have like a signature win? Has he beaten Alabama? I guess he beat LSU once, but like he needs to start winning bigger games, I think. And I think any conference game will qualify. So I think Ole Miss probably wins. Man, do they cover though? I don't know. It's going to be really close.
Yeah.
I would say sell on that one.
Okay. It's weird how the money's moved on that game.
Wow,
all right.
I haven't seen a movement like that in a while.
Yeah, it's just really weird. Buy or sell, like that Texas BYU game had a little weird movement to it as well.
Dude.
Buy or sell number 4. Let's go back to the Rangers and your feelings. If the Rangers win the World Series, it will feel better to you than the Mavs in 2011.
I don't know, man. I love the Rangers, but the Mavericks are like my team. That's my favorite team is the Mavericks. So
okay.
I cried. I was in high school. I cried when they won it all. I'll probably tear up tonight if the Rangers do pull it off. But no, I'm a basketball head. You know, I'm a hoops guy. So I've always liked baseball, but I've always loved basketball. So I'm going to go ahead and sell on that one.
Gotcha. Yeah, let's hope they are partying like it's 2011, and that was supposed to be. In fact, right there, literally, I'm pointing to a championship towel from 2011 that I have mounted on the wall, and a dirt jersey right over there, and a pennant right there for the Mavs.
That's awesome.
From 2011. Hopefully, I get to add some stuff. Crossing fingers. And finally, Keenan, buy or sell number 5. From what you've seen in the Michigan sign stealing thing, Harbaugh needs to be suspended.
I don't think that's far enough. I think he needs to be let go. I think this is, I have no different opinion on this than I had on the Astros. And this is worse than the Astros. Don't get it twisted. This is worse. The amount of planning and thought that went into this, it's bad, man. It's a huge advantage. Like, I know that Dion said you still got to stop him, but like, Michigan has the talent to where if they know your playbook, you're not going to – they're giving up like 8 points a game this year. Like,
right.
I think it's pretty Central Michigan's involved. Somebody just said that. I saw that too. I mean, he was on the sidelines at a Central Michigan game wearing Central Michigan stuff. Stallions was. So I think this is a huge scandal. I'm surprised that it's being downplayed as much as it kind of has been. I think this is a big deal. And so I'll buy suspension. I'll buy even more he should go to the NFL. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a wild story. We'll get into some of the latest and get into a discussion at 2:00 in the crap bag. But shout out to South End Zone Queen, one of our favorite chatters, who jumps in, says like they hacked into servers and watched practice film. If this is verified and if it's how does this guy still have a head coaching job? South End Zone Queen, there are some that have gone to that type of questioning, and then there are some that just really aren't taking this thing super seriously. Keenan, I'm with you. It's freaking me out. I'm trying to understand how it's being allowed more and more, but we'll get into a little more of that in the 2:00 hour. So give us your thoughts if you want on the specs chat. It continues to be new stuff coming out, but the thing you're referencing is there's a side-by-side photos and things where they believe that what's my man's name?
Connor Stallions.
Stallions. Thank you. That Stallions was on the sideline at Central Michigan State early in the year, and he would have gotten there through the Central Michigan coaching staff, which has connections to the Michigan coaching staff. So it just continues to have all these little details and levels. And
I didn't know that part of it. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's some connection between over there. There's some connection between the two. Jim McElwain is sitting there in front of the media saying, "Oh, we don't condone this," and I don't know how it happened. I'm like, well, wait. I'd say the same thing to you. I would say to Harbaugh, how do you not know it happened? How do you not know? That's not a pass I can get a hold of and you can get a hold of real easily.
Right. He's either fireably negligent over his program for not knowing this is going on, or he's completely involved. I don't understand how people are saying, "Oh, he didn't know." It's like there's no freaking way he didn't know if this is going on. There's no way.
I agree. I totally agree.
Can you give me like 30 seconds on this? Because this has been like kind of eating at me, man.
Sure.
It's one thing to do this in the pros, in the MLB. These are college kids, man. You are screwing college kids over doing this stuff. And, I've always kind of liked Michigan, but man, I'm rooting against them very hard now. I can't support that, man. Like I was not a fan, and I'm not going to dive into the Astros, but this is worse than the Astros thing. It is. It's more elaborate. There's more people involved. It's, affected maybe not more games by number, but games by importance. You know what I mean? Just because there's fewer games in a college football season. I'm really disgusted. I'm horrified kind of by it, and I hope he's punished, man. I don't think he should be allowed to coach if he's doing that. It's crazy. They got on the Patriots for doing that. I guess they didn't really, but you know what I mean? Like, this is worse than the Patriots. This is more elaborate, and like I get that everybody's going for an edge, but you gotta stay within the rules, brother.
Yeah, and I think, you just said it there in two different parts, but I'm reading early stories on this, and one of the first comments I read that stopped me was it's being reported as more developed and further than what both the Astros and the Patriots did. And I thought, wow.
Yeah, it's worse. It is. And I had nothing against the Michigan until now. I kind of like Michigan.
Right. Oh, I know, and I'm with you there. When Michigan plays Ohio State, I root for Michigan every time. Because I've never really been
but not this year, man.
Never really been an Ohio State guy. And I'll get back to this point next hour, Keenan. My one big question to the Big Ten today would be this. Last night, one of your teams that's not this team got named the number one team in the college football playoff. And they're going to play that team in the biggest rival game they have. On the road, by the way. They're going to go to Ann Arbor, if I'm not mistaken, this year.
Yeah, they are.
You need to protect your member institutions. Specifically, you might want to think about protecting one that just got named the best team in the country. That's just, if Michigan was the only Big Ten team worth a crap right now, then we could just say they're selling their soul. But as much as I do not like to defend Ohio State people or fans, I don't root for the team or whatever. But Keenan, if you're waking up in Columbus, Ohio today, how are you not wondering if the Big Ten gives a crap about you at all in terms of this Michigan thing? That's the one question I would ask the Big Ten. Don't you have to protect Ohio State moving forward?
It just sucks, man. Like, I really thought Michigan had just turned it around through coaching, but like, come on, dude. You can't be that blatant, dude. That just like in the face of sportsmanship to just be that. I don't know, man. I'm really grossed out by the whole thing. I really am. It sucks. And like you said, I'm no Ohio State fan, but guess who's going to be rooting for Ohio State in that game?
Right. I know. It's crazy.
They're jerks, but they're not cheating.
For the first time in my life, I might actually root for Ohio State against Michigan. I never thought I would say that. All right, coming up, once we get done talking some Texas basketball, we'll give you a little taste of the watch along. I haven't actually seen this. Apparently, Blake cut out Catch and my reaction to the Xavier Worthy punt return touchdown. So we'll see what that looked like and sounded like on Saturday.
So nasty, bro.
We'll give you a taste of that coming up. But right now, I want to give you a taste of Texas basketball. Keenan covers the Longhorns. Specifically, if you go to orangebloods.com, and we certainly encourage you to do that, go check out what's going on at Orangebloods. Basketball season about to crank up, and they're going to be pretty damn good. 2024 will come around quickly, and baseball will crank up, and they're going to be pretty damn good. And obviously, this football team is looking for the biggest things as well. So get to orangebloods.com, check out all the great content like Keenan breaking down this basketball team for you. So, Keenan, did you get a chance to go see both the scrimmage and exhibition live?
Yes, I was at both. At both. I live literally a mile from DKR and the movie, so I don't really have an excuse to not go to anything.
That is beautiful. All right, amazing. So before I send you in any particular direction, give me your first thoughts on this team right now. What do your eyeballs tell you so far?
The eyeballs tell me that this team's going to have to run a lot of 5-out offense until Dylan Dessou and Caden Shedrick are back. So for those who don't know, because I got some questions on my article because I was using a lot of jargon and slang that I should have elaborated on. But a 5-out offense is where all 5 of your players are on the perimeter. And it's basically based on cutting and setting screens, setting off-ball screens, setting ball screens, and relying on dribble penetration and kickouts to score. But I think this team's going to be better offensively when they can run the pick and roll. Because Max Asmus, in addition to being an excellent shooter and offensive player, he's a great pick and roll passer. And I've talked to 2 scouts about that who scouted him before he even got to Texas. And they're like, yeah, out of the pick and roll, he's a very good passer. So I think the pick and roll offense is going to play in a lot to their success on the offensive end this year. My favorite player from this season, who I think is going to be maybe the best player on the team, is Dylan Mitchell. And the cool thing about Dylan Mitchell is he has added so much to his game in one off season, right? So I asked Coach Terry this 2 nights ago. I said, the fact that Dylan Mitchell can now take a defensive rebound, like they call it rip and run, right? Get the defensive rebound, dribble it up the court, push the pace. That's huge, the fact that he can do that. That opens up his entire game completely. When he's in the half court, they can throw it to him, he can drive the rack. He's now hit 4 turnaround jumpers that I've seen in person in the last 2 in the scrimmage and exhibition. So I am very excited for him. I think he's going to be a lottery pick. And you know me, I write about the draft as well, about the draft side. I think he's going to be a lottery pick. I think he's going to be really good.
When you talk about turnaround jumpers, what kind of range are we talking about on the Mitchell?
Like 10 feet. I mean, like he'll like what I watched him do against St. Ed's is he backed a dude down, turned around and hit it from the baseline. So I guess that was probably like an 8-footer, but that opens up the offense so much. The other thing about his handle is he can access these passes he was unable to before. That's going to be so important in this 5-out offense, is being able to have several guys who can dribble the ball. I think they might use Zarek Onyema a little bit in the post. Maybe they run 4 out. But, yeah, I think the team's going to look a lot different in December when Dessou comes back. Dessou's a really good roll man. He's a good short roll passer as well. So I'm very excited to see what this team looks like in December. And they got a fun game coming up November 19th against Louisville, who just lost to Kentucky Wesleyan at home in their second exhibition. So. And
the Louisville game, is that one of those that's on the road, or is that?
It's in New York City.
That's one of the New York games.
The MSG, right? Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
You mentioned Dessou, so Dessou is coming back off of an injury right now, and then Shedrick is as well.
Caden Shedrick will be back probably for the Louisville game. I've heard he'll be back this month. I'd assume a little later, so the 19th, so like 2.5 weeks. I'd guess he's back. So yeah, man, I'm stoked about the team. They looked really bad in the first half against St. Ed's, like really not. They just clearly weren't focused, but they came out in the second half and like showed everybody who they were. Real quick note, though, I got to say, shout out to St. Ed's fans, man. They came through by the 1,000.
Really?
At this exhibition. Yeah, like it was like probably 50-50. And it was really cool watching the St. Ed's fans just cheer on their team. They were down, 20 points, and every layup they're going nuts. And then in the post-game presser, I asked them, and they were just so grateful for the opportunity. It was really cool, man. It was a cool thing I think they should continue to do, is play that little crosstown rivalry.
That's cool. The Hilltoppers hit the mood.
It was a lot of fun, man. It really was.
You don't let those Hilltoppers take over the mood, man. That's cool. That's cool to hear. And I was glad to see them wake up. Like you said, I saw some of I saw some social media reaction and stuff from that first half, and it was like, what is going on with this basketball team? But they really got going. I want to ask you about Tyrese Hunter. Yeah. You've talked about it the last time you were on with us, and I think it's an important point to keep hammering home for fans. The fact that the cramping stuff is behind him because they were able to identify like a medical reason it was happening, get him treatment, get him medication. He ends up being the leading scorer in this exhibition. Just talk to me about what he looks like to you now that you've gotten to get, got eyes on him in this couple games so far. Like, is this sort of the imagined version of Tyrese Hunter? Is this what you thought you would see when he got to Texas?
Yeah, I mean, he looks like the first 10 games of last season, which was sort of before the cramping like destroyed his season. He didn't get to play much for the middle 15 games because he was cramping up and Dude, I gotta say, bro, Tyrese Hunter is a dog. Like, that guy is so competitive. He and Dylan Mitchell, like, the fact that he's 6'1", I think, 6'2", maybe shorter, and he's the best, arguably the best point of attack defender on this team is a big deal. Because when you have an undersized backcourt, you just do. You got A. Smith about 6 foot on a good day. You got Hunter 6'2" on a good day. But the fact that one of those guys is a lockup defender is super important for the perimeter defense that this team is going to play this year. Dylan Mitchell's also an excellent point of attack defender too. But when you're guarding point guards, you have Tyrese Hunter.
Yeah, and then back to the health part. Everybody's going to immediately, fans will obviously think of the offensive end because that's kind of what we do as fans sometimes. But
sure.
The idea that down the stretch you can D up the main guy you have to D up, and you don't have to worry that the guy that's doing that is going to cramp up. Like the Texas fan, I remember talking to you about it last season. I remember having Texas. Just that thought never. It doesn't always enter your mind as a basketball fan, and it just kept. It's not something you Texas fans are just trying to figure out what was it, what is going on. They know they have a high level training staff, and they know they have the nutrition, and it's like you start to think like, wait, is Tyrese Hunter like the old Lamar Odom with the Lakers? Is he just smashing gummy worms all night? Like, what is happening?
Eating candy all the time.
Yeah, and you felt like there's nothing about Tyrese Hunter that has ever said to me he doesn't care about details, and he doesn't care about ball, and he doesn't care about working hard. So I'm just so happy for him that now all of that will tie in. So Keenan, when we get to 2.5 minutes to go, and the other team's bringing the ball up the floor, when Tyrese Hunter's able to slap the floor or do whatever he's going to do and get after it, that's going to be so much fun for Texas fans to watch.
Yeah, I also think Tyrese Hunter has a big role as a vocal leader on the team. Like, that's what it seemed like to me. It seems like he and Dylan Mitchell are two of the bigger personalities on the team. I gotta say too, man, I'm so rooting for Dylan Mitchell and Tyrese, man. They're just great dudes, both of them. Just so humble, hardworking. I just really appreciate the culture that Rodney Terry got some blowback, I guess, because people are like, oh, they like settled in hiring. You know what I mean? But
right.
I think he's doing a great job. I mean, yeah, that first half was bad against St. Ed's, but they came out in the second half and outscored them 52-24. So it's like, if that 52-24 was the first half, nobody would care. You know what I mean?
They'd have left.
Bit of perspective. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're good. I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah. So, obviously they're going to need to come out more focused in the regular season. They take on Incarnate Word next Tuesday. So hopefully we see a little more effort in the first half, a little more focus.
There you go. Schedule getting started there. By the way, as we were talking, Rhett agrees with you on Tyrese Hunter. They're going to have a huge year.
He might be an all Big 12 guy. For real. And that's saying something in this conference.
Really happy for him that they got that all figured out. Texas basketball next week. Like Keenan mentioned, those early games, if you want to get out to the Moody Center to check the team out, you're not going to see an amazing opponent, but get out there for the Moody Center, get out there for that environment, and get out there for your team. Like we've been telling Texas basketball fans that for years. Don't be that fan base that's looking for the other jersey. Go for your jersey, because your team is in a really cool new environment, and this should be a talented group this year. So get out there and check them out. And again, check out Keenan's stuff at orangebloods.com, at Keenan Womack on Twitter. You see it right there.
Yeah, and every other week I post a free piece that you don't have to be a member to read. So read a couple of those. If you like it, I got a lot more content on the site. Go ahead and subscribe. It's $10 a month, man. It's a lot of fun over there. It's a really good community. I love it. I love the board. I have a ton of fun just BSing over there. So, if you're not already a member, give it a shot, man. It's super fun over there. It really is.
By the way, Keenan, just to check, when it says Mr. 5 lunch breaks, does that mean, are the 5 lunch breaks based on laziness, nutrition, or both?
Laziness. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. Me and my friends started a fake rap group in high school, and it was Mr. Thanksgiving, Mr. 5 lunch breaks. I forget the third one, but yeah, it's just a dumb joke from when I was like 14.
Mr. 5 lunch breaks.
Fair enough. That's the dumbest thing to brag about ever. Yeah, I took 5 lunch breaks, bro. Everyone's like, that's not cool.
Why are you bragging about that? All right. Thanks to the 200 folks in the Specs chat. Remember, Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. Go specsonline.com for all of your parties and get-togethers. You're about to get into that season where you're getting together with friends and family a lot. So if you need drink ideas, food ideas, they've got it for you. In fact, Blake, let's give them 15 seconds of Specs if we can. Lisa and the Rabbit powering past Halloween, headed towards Thanksgiving.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
And shout out to the other woman in the spot, dude with beard and random pair of hands that we didn't notice because Lisa and the Rabbit are so magnetic. But Specs does incredible work all the time. I'm actually coming up probably, I bet I'm a week away or so from a good specs trip.
Little liquor run.
Got to make a run because the plans are in place for maybe some family to come in for Thanksgiving weekend, and you got to get those plans done.
Right.
And for the ones that enjoy their alcohol, you got to get that set up. So we gotta have that done at Specs. Thanks to them for being a great partner. Let's clean up a couple of chats here. And again, this is where I'm interested in certain fans' perspective on the game. Zion, the play from game to game has been so up and down back to Texas football that the confidence level is very shaky. Interesting. Play up and down, confidence level shaky. And I understand there's been moments where, I guess it's the fact that these games are closer than they thought they would be. The Houston game, I really think, Keenan, is messing with Texas fans' mind.
Totally.
Right?
I was about to say that.
In just a weird way. Like there's if I show you a certain part of the Houston game, you'd think Texas is going to win the Big 12 and might be dangerous in a playoff. And if I show you another part of that game, you'd go, wait, what the heck is that? What is going on? Whatever bits of trust the defense lost in Dallas, they started to get them all back against Houston, and then it just went bleh for the rest of the game. And I think Texas fans are just trying to figure out how to come back from all that.
I think it's that battered fan syndrome setting in, man. I really do. Every team in the country is up and down to an extent, I mean, even in Alabama's great runs, they still had close games with teams that they were better than. Look, you look at the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. They had a couple of field goal games. No team's going to blow out every team other than 2019 LSU, I guess. But that's the best team I've ever seen. But, yeah, I think people are freaking out. I think they're just assuming things are going to go bad. I don't think so, man. I think they're going to beat Kansas State, and I think fans are going to start trusting more in this staff and this team because, I mean, this is the best team they've had in 15 years without a doubt.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. Derek throws in this on the chat. They finished with 3 losses. This roster makeup is a failure, period. Obviously, that'd be 2 more losses.
I agree with that, man. I think this team's way too talented to lose 3 games. They just are.
You could have I'm assuming they mean that as a third loss in season. You could have a loss somewhere in the next 4,
playoff or whatever. But
you lose a bowl game or something like that. Yeah. But I get that point there. Back to the K-State matchup. Somebody says the defense has allowed 6 red zone touchdowns, 5 rushing, 1 passing. Run the damn ball, Sark. And back to my point from earlier. In the last 2 times against this team, that's exactly what he's done. 40 rushes, 44 rushes, 31 carries for Roschon, 30 carries for Bijan. If the pattern holds, then I won't even make him, Keenan, give the ball to Brooks 30 times. How about 30 between Brooks and Baxter? Can we get that? Can we get a 20-10? Can we get a 25-5? Can we just get 30 between those guys and 40 plus for the team? Is that too much to ask for?
I think that's fair. And I also would like to experiment with throwing swing passes to Jaden Blue because that dude is so fast. I didn't realize how fast he was. He and Keelan can both do that. But, yeah I think I think that basketball, I mean, brains on basketball. I think that in football, you know, so much of scoring in the red zone is about just getting off your blocks and pushing. And something I read the other day, it may have been one of Alex Dunlap's pieces about how the offensive line in the red zone doesn't get low enough. Like they like stand up too high occasionally when they're trying to get these like small, short yardage situations, and that might be one of the problems as to why they struggled in the red zone so much. But you know, unless Sark's running double reverses to the short side of the field, 10 yards from the goal line, I just think they're a better team. I think they should win.
And we do get a super chat here. Thank you, Oscar. The king of the super chats is what Oscar's developing into. $4.99. Lots of Texas fans think good teams don't have down games. I always like to bring up Georgia, almost losing to Missouri last year. The final was 13-3. Interesting point, Oscar. I've talked about it for years as an SEC watcher. The SEC was my favorite conference before my team joined, and then my team joined. So I'm really watching a ton of it. But Keenan, there are weeks in the SEC where you will be forgiven if you do one thing, and it's crazy. Win. That's it. That's it. Years ago,
2-0.
Yeah, right. Whatever it is, that you know, there were years ago. I can't remember exactly the season for Nick Saban. He had a year at Bama, right in the middle of the year. They went to Arkansas, and they won 14-13. And I watched a big hunk of the game. He looked totally comfortable in the game. It was one of those kind of Nick Saban games. They were playing that bully ball, murder ball that he was known for at the time. They won it 14-13. He said he was proud of his guys for a road win afterwards, and people called the post-game show and wanted him fired. Like, that was a thing. But sometimes you just got to be able to deal with the wins. So here's what I'm hoping. When we get to next year, when we get to expanded playoff, 12 teams at least, maybe it goes further down the road, I hope we get to a point where some of it feels like the NFL. Because what I love about the black and white of the NFL is a win is a win. You don't apologize for wins, and you take them however you can get them. Did they win 15-10 or did they win 40-10? I don't really care. I just care that they won. They won the game. Now, how they won, you can talk about it if you want. You can make it a part of your discussion, but sometimes, yes, it's those games. 13-3. Another great example is go all the way back. This is old man football for a lot of you, but go all the way back to 2001, the famous Miami team in 2001. Ed Reed and that whole crew.
Taylor.
Yeah, John Taylor. It's probably the greatest collection of college football talent I have ever seen. The 2005 Texas team is badass, and there's some others that are great. I don't think I've ever seen anything like 2001 Miami. But Keenan, they went to Boston College, and they played a clunker. They played an absolute clunker, and they needed a fumble, a strip fumble, returned by Ed Reed, like 80-something yards, and I think they won the game like 18-7 or 19-7 or something stupid like that. It happens. It happens. But the important thing is, are you continuing to get better? Are you winning those games? And the part where I think the trepidation comes in, and this is a great point that Ketch has brought up continuously, trying to, are they getting better? Are they continuing to be better month to month? Because right now, as we start November, can we absolutely say that they were better in October than they were in September? I would argue no. We can't absolutely say that for sure.
Yeah. And they beat Alabama back then.
Yeah, that's what's got a Texas fan a little freaked out. They want to see them ascending and, and getting things done. But I would also ask the question this way. Would you all feel like if all I could change for you was about a 3 to 5 minute sequence against Houston and make them kick 2 field goals, forget the touchdown part, just make them kick the 2 field goals against BYU and you win it like, I don't know, 41-6? Like, would that be, would it be even, would it be even better? You'd have a little nerves, but, a little bit of red zone issues maybe here and there, but it might be a little different. I just think the margins are pretty small. I don't think this team has these massive things they've got to figure out.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's pretty consistent across the board, but tell you what, man, I've been missing Burt. Like, run my boy out there. Let him kick some field goals, man. When was the last time? How many field goals has he kicked this year?
That's a good question. Let me pull up.
Like, not a lot, but
pull up Mr. Burt. Do we have kicking here? Yes, we do. Burt has kicked 18 attempts, 13 made, 18 attempts.
Okay, so that's not amazing, but take the points sometimes, bro. Like, come on, dude. Like, how many points have they left on the board? They left points on the board in the Oklahoma game. They left points on the board in the Houston game. Just not kicking field goals. I'm like, I understand you want everybody to think you're the greatest offensive mind the sport has ever seen, but sometimes he outthinks himself, I think. I think he's a really smart guy who occasionally outthinks himself and tries things to prove a point that his offense is flawless, that his offense works against any defense. And a lot of the RPO stuff does, but I think you got to play a little more conservative, actually, and kick some of those field goals, man.
Well, here's the other thing. I'm glad you said that, Keenan, because one thing that's been blinking in my head since Sark said it, and he keeps saying it, by the way, his new favorite word is versatility. He keeps saying it all the time. He starts press conferences with it. Boy, I'm just glad we're a versatile football team. Man, we're a versatile football team. Boy, are we a versatile. He keeps doing it over and over again. And I always keep thinking like, well, versatile, by that you mean you can win a lot of different ways. By that you mean one thing is not taking over your football team.
Right.
You got a hurt quarterback right now. You got a safety you wish could play that's hurt. You got a defensive end that you wish could play that's hurt. And you had some other guys hurt at times. You got a running back that's really damn good, but you've also got really good receivers. And you feel like you have a pretty damn good defense. But I would also add that your kicker's not terrible. Like, the last time you asked your kicker to make a kick, he hit like 46 against OU at the end to win the game. He did enough. The offense and that guy did enough to win the game. Bert Auburn was not in coverage that next drive. Bert Auburn did not back 12 yards off.
Yeah, what the hell was that about?
And Bert Auburn did not let Dylan Gabriel turn into Steve Young and Michael Vick had a baby. That didn't happen. Bert stood there on the sideline having won the football game. So that's all a part of the rhythm of it to me, Keenan. You're going to need little things along the way. And specifically this week, I just wonder if the reason Sark's done what he's done against K-State is, Bill Snyder put it all in our brains. Kansas State is a detail team. Kansas State is a nuts and bolts team. More than anybody, more than Campbell at Iowa State, more than what he'll face in Fort Worth, certainly more than he'll deal with when Tech comes to town. That they're just known as that team. They're buttoned up. You can't turn the ball over. You've got to, you can't let them kill you with time of possession. All that stuff. It's like it's in his brain when he sees Kansas State. That's why if I'm a Texas fan this week, I might think about trusting Sark because he's got 2 one-score wins against this team the 2 times he's faced them. And he knew and he learned whatever lesson he needed to learn, and he ran the damn ball. He did what Mike McCarthy said he was going to do with the Cowboys this year. He ran the damn ball 84 times combined in the last 2 games.
That's crazy, man.
That's what's happened.
Do you know much about Kansas State's secondary or anything? I don't know what their strengths are on the defensive end, but I mean, clearly, they've given up 1 passing touchdown in the red zone this year. That's pretty legit. It's a pretty good sign that you're doing it right defensively.
I think they're pretty good. Like I mentioned earlier, that third down defense being 6th in the country, I think that's good. Pass defense is 75th, though. That's an interesting matchup in the game because Texas is 36th throwing the ball, 75th against the pass is K-State, but now factor in Malik Murphy.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I think Malik is – I'm sorry, go for it.
No. Yeah, I was just going to say Quinn Ewers in Texas, I think, would have a big day against Kansas State. It's going to be a little different with Malik.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, it's funny. Growing up in Texas sport, both my parents are alums. I got cousins, aunts, uncles. My granddad went to Texas law school. So like I grew up in this fandom, I guess. And even, that the ego was built from 04 to 09. And they haven't really done much to back that up since 09. So I think this is cool because it's kind of the first time a new generation of Texas fans has seen a really good Texas team, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you were born in 2004, like Arch Manning was, what do you remember of Texas football? So you're 5 when they lose to Alabama in the Natty, and then nothing until I guess 18 they won the Sugar Bowl. But I'm talking like competing for a national championship. A lot of Texas fans, especially the student body, has never seen that before. So that's kind of cool for them too. Considering when I was at the University of Texas, I got Charlie Strong, and I like Charlie Strong as a guy, but it was not a successful tenure. So I'm a little bit jelly, but that's okay.
Yeah, we'll see if Texas fans get what they want to see this weekend. Hopefully Texas fans are enjoying this season. Again, 7-1, 7 in the CFP. Texas fan tuning in last night to the CFP presentation for the first time in how long? When's the last time a Texas fan ever? I mean, they started
since the playoff era, they haven't been close, right? Really.
Started in 2014. Maybe the first time a Texas fan could actually tune into that and give a damn what Reese Davis was talking about. Yep. So that was last night too. All right. Speaking of versatility, Longhorns have proven they're versatile by bringing in some special teams. That included, of course, the Worthy touchdown. Let's give you a little taste of the watch along. Remember, each week we do the watch along sponsored by Pine House Brewery, Pine House Pizza. Shout out to those folks. And we'll tell you about the Pine House event coming up. But Ketch and I, we watch the game. You come join us. You get to chat like you do on the normal shows. And then you get to see what our reaction is. Here's our reaction to what happened with Worthy. A little watch along taste for you. And we'll be right back with House Divided, Orangebloods Live.
They want to make this game ugly. They want it to be slow. They want the clock to run. They want it to be a disjointed game. They don't want going back and forth. They don't want a basketball game. They need the Baltimore Ravens up this game a little bit. And that drive was kind of the opposite of that. They didn't, a little bit like Texas, right? They come out throwing the football, not really having a lot of success in this first drive. And here we are, 12:25 to go in the first quarter, and we're on our second punt of the game. Nice kick. Xavier Worthy takes the punt at the 25, and he's got a lane.
Nice return. Nice return. Worthy's gone. He's gone. It's over.
For all of you that have wanted Xavier Worthy off of punt returns, how do you like them apples?
Wow.
He's been close to that all season long. And that was a case of the BYU punter kicking the ball too far down the field.
That was that 75? Did I see that yard marker right? Is that a 75-yard return?
Yeah, he caught it at about the 25. That's about right.
I'm telling you what, Ketch, I don't think a dude in blue pants even touched him. It
was such a good punt.
Woo!
That it backed Worthy up, but it gave him a ton of space.
Yeah.
And so he avoids the first tackle attempt, and then he's just got acres of space to run through right down the middle. There wasn't a whole lot of fancy shake and bake on that. But
and that's extra dangerous too. If you can set it up to where that guy doesn't have to shake and bake and he can just go blinding speed, you're done. You talk about a dude that was done. That punter from BYU is going to – he won't hear it in film study, Ketch, because they all know him. They know who he is.
He's like, none of them other dudes made tackles either.
Yeah. So there you go. A little taste of it. Watch along. We do it every week with the Texas game. It'll be 11 o'clock. So get up. It's first time since Oklahoma we've gotten up that early. So
what is the deal with that?
10:45 is when we'll crank it up with it's a Fox thing, man. They love their Big Noon Kickoff. They love it. I
love Klatt. Like, I think Klatt is one of the best in the business, and I think Gus is too. I think they're the best team.
Yeah. I want Gus Johnson to call me at the grocery store. Like, I
want him to call my wedding, dude.
Oh, yeah. He can just make anything
down
work.
the aisle.
Those two guys are tremendous.
They're
You're right.
great,
And they're going to
man.
be in town this week. The full, Fox Big Noon Kickoff with Urban and that whole crew. So if you want to get down there to check it out, go check it out. And, before the game, that's a really cool thing to do. Now, you got to get down there early, obviously, with an 11 a.m. kick. But Big Noon Kickoff is coming in with the full Big Fox crew. We got a good chat from South End Zone Queen saying, Chad, can you break down the stats? How many points have we left on the board each game by going for it and not taking an easy field goal in the red zone? South End Zone Queen, that's a great question. I have not broken down every single one of them. Obviously, this last game, it feels like, 6 is an easy answer? It felt like there were 2 pretty obvious moments of just kick the field goal.
Yeah.
Take what you got. The first and goal situation, obviously with Oklahoma, you got another 3 that you would have had there. That one blinked at me at the time because at the end of the game, it would have been 33-27. Like if everything else stays the same, Bert Auburn made it 30-27.
Yeah.
It would have been 33-27. So you force OU. Now, I understand OU goes and scores the touchdown. I got you. But still, to set it up with a minute, no timeouts, knowing they could have had a field goal, that drive is different at that point. But South End Zone Queen, that's a good question. I have not dug through all that to figure out exactly how many. But again, to these last 2 games with K-State and Sark, he has not had those moments. There are no over on downs that really seem to hurt him. An over on down inside the 10-yard line. To me, Keenan, it's just got to be about focusing in on come up with badass plays, come up with badass ideas, but just have 3 of them, not 4. You get 3 shots. You get 3 shots. You gotta, there's the old football adage, reserve the right to kick. Every drive needs to end with a kick. Some coaches will just say it that way. Fellas, everything we do needs to end with a kick. No turnovers, nothing stupid, no over on downs. We want to eat. Everything we do ends with hopefully an extra point after a touchdown or a field goal or a punt or everything we do. We want to end, if it's third and long and your quarterback's thinking of trying to fit in a stupid pass and his brain tells him, oh, let's just punt here. Let's just punt. And by the way, this team's got a badass punter. So I would definitely tell them reserve the right to kick, especially when you're asking that guy to kick, because Sanborn can be an important part of Saturday as well, Keenan. Ask Kansas State to go 90 yards, 85 yards, 75 yards. Ask them to do it over and over again and just see if they can. But Sanborn can help you this weekend too, because he's great.
Yeah, we've seen if you've been watching Texas football for 10 years, you've seen what a good punter can do with Michael Dixon. He won the MVP of the Texas Bowl, the punter did. And they almost beat a good Oklahoma State team. I think it was Ellinger's freshman year. They almost beat a good Oklahoma State team after the game. I think they lost 14-10. After the game, Gundy was like, this is the first time I've ever almost lost to a punter. And it's like the special teams thing. You saw Xavier Worthy's punt return touchdown, obviously, that we just showed that clip. Special teams have been pretty good. Oh, Anthony Farrow. He was a field goal kicker, though, I think. But, yeah, he was really good, too. Special teams, this game might come down to special teams. You never know with Kansas State. It's a wild game. I really think you got to play it a little more conservative against a team that runs the ball and plays defense. Take the points you can get, stack the box, because that Kansas State quarterback can run. He's a good athlete, really good athlete. So I think that's going to be important. I think T'Vondre Sweat, Vernon Broughton, Byron Murphy, Justice Finkley, Jamon Tapp, whoever, they're going to have a great game stopping the run. They're going to need to contain the quarterback when he gets out of the pocket. But I think Kwiatkowski, despite the weird coverage at the end of that OU game, he's done a damn good job this year.
Yeah, overall, I think they have been good. By the way, you just said a name that I really think we need to see a lot more out of on Saturday morning, and that's Murphy. Man, 90 needs to show up. He's had to
I don't know why. I just have a feeling he will.
Weird season. Here's a super chat. Thank you so much, Texas Tippett. Super chat, $4.99. We can't cheer when he goes for it and makes it, then be upset when he doesn't make it. Wait a minute.
I mean, like, I mean, that's part of being a fan of a football team. It's like,
that's kind of what fans do, right?
You get upset when your kicker shanks it. You know what I mean?
Sure, he goes for it and makes it, and then be upset when he doesn't make it. I mean,
but the thing with Burt too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You
The thing with Burt too is he's hit some pressure kicks, man.
Right.
He hit the kick against. I knew they lost both of these games, but they were absolutely clutch kicks. The kick against Alabama last year to give them a 2-point lead. The kick this year against Oklahoma to take the lead. So Burt has shanked some like random kicks, but I think when it comes down to it, you can trust him in pressure environments.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's also about the timing of things. I understand what some people are saying. Like there's the fake punt against OU. There's a gutsiness to that. But to that last comment from Texas Tippett, if that fails, of course fans are going to rip on him. That's how it works. That's how fandom works. But also, if you're in no man's land and you run the Savion Red 4th down play and he throws that pass up the seam, there's gutsiness to that.
Oh yeah.
But if that play fails, I think it's a little different than if you keep banging your head at the 1 or 2 yard line and you fail on that 4th down. That has a different feel to it. Because remember, the moment Savion Red throws that ball, you're in the middle of the field. That play is impossible at the 1. You can't run it. You can't run that play at the 2 or the 3 or the 4. So it's all about the specific football moment there. And Sark is just like every other offensive play caller. You cannot get away from the fact that back end zone line will not move for you. It won't back up. You can ask it to, but it's not going to back up for you. You have to deal with the parameters, and it just gets tight. It gets tight. It gets crazy down there. Watch college football. Watch the NFL. It is not just Sark going through this.
It's hard.
There's some bad red zone stuff going on because teams can't figure out how to bang their head on the wall and ultimately get through it. So I think there's differences there. But I get what you're saying. Fans can be that way. That's why we're getting your thoughts today on kind of what you can trust of this team. What's the one thing you feel like you can trust with Texas? What's your mindset going into the game? Here's a good chat from Mark before we get to the crap bag. Says, Texas fans are spoiled. Nah. 7-1. 99% of us are okay with that. First, they were complaining about Quinn. Now they're complaining about Sark. They are winning and finishing games. Hook 'em emoji. Mark, you are correct. Obviously, the one game they didn't finish is the one that they lost, and that's not, they had it finished against OU and just didn't get it done. But other than that, you're absolutely right.
Real quick note, I think unless we're doing a segment on most important player for this game later, I don't know if we are, but if not, I'm going to do it now. I think the key to this game defensively is Anthony Hill. I think Anthony Hill, obviously Jalen Ford, right? Jalen Ford, but that freshman Anthony Hill, that dude is going to be a top 10 pick in 2 years. He is unbelievable. I watched some scouting show. I can't remember who was on it, but it was a very non-biased, like non-Texas guy, and he watched it and he said, they were like, who stuck out to you, right, on both sides of the ball? And he said, 0 on defense stuck out to me the most because just the speed, the closing ability. He can cover. He can rush the passer when they run blitzes. I mean, shoot, you can like run him an edge rusher and he'd be awesome. Like, I think he's a versatile, big-time talent that is going to make some big-time plays in a big-time game. I'm a huge fan of Anthony Hill, so I can't wait to see where his career goes.
He has been a badass. Almost came up with that crazy pick against BYU.
I know,
too,
that was insane, dude.
That's such a difficult pick to ask a linebacker to make. In
Hey,
fact, I like
real
that.
quick note on Hill. I was just going to hop in.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all realize this, but we've talked about it on Alex's show, and it's in his deep dig. But Anthony Hill, last week, you and Catch Chad had the discussion of whether Anthony Hill is a starter.
Mm-hmm.
As he played 75% of snaps last week. The week before he had played. The week before he had played 50%. He's taken over David Benda's role completely. Like he is the starter in that spot at this moment.
Yeah, interesting point.
And think about real quick next year when they have him and Colin Simmons.
Yeah, that's
and don't forget
scary.
Colton Vasek too.
Scary
Colton Vasek is a guy who I think is banged up right now, but
who?
Man, Colton Vasek.
Oh yeah. When he's back, he's
from Westlake. Yeah.
Ethan Burke's out too, I think.
Right, and Burke is still out right now. In fact,
too.
I like that conversation, Keenan. Let's get back to most important player when we get to 2:20. I think that's a good idea. Cool. We've crossed over the 2:00 mark here on House Divided. No catch today. He's off taking care of some Orangebloods business. And this week, the Orangebloods business includes our trip to Pint House Brewing out on Ben White. I've been to Pint House. I've been to South Lamar. I've been to Burnett, but I haven't been here yet. I pass it all the time, and it used to be on my path to and from the former job, and I always would, oh, man, I got to make time. I got to get out there. I'm finally getting out there, and there'll be a Q&A panel. That'll be fun. We'll crank that up at 6:30. Again, right there on Ben White. Just put in Pint House Brewing instead of like Pint House Pizza or Pint House Beer, and it'll get you right there. 6 to 9, the Orangebloods meetup. Come on out. Meet us. We'll be hanging. Myself, Catch, Blake, the super producer, Keenan, who's joining us today. We will all be a part of it for sure. We're trying to nail down some other Orangebloods folks. Good Q&A stuff. So just, ask Catch a question. You're late. If you've always wanted to ask him some recruiting question or hear a story from back in the day or whatever it is, you can do that. You can show up at Pine House and just ask me, Chad, why in the world would you want to work at Orangebloods Live? You're an Aggie, you moron. What are you doing? And I'll give you the answer. Come on out.
Guys, if you really want the answer, it's because of Pine House. We lured him with the Pine House sponsorship, and it was a done deal.
It's so good. It's
so
good.
A little bit.
Little bit. I love Pine House.
That Pine House arrangement was not didn't hurt. It did not hurt. I do love Pine House. Remember, just say cannonball and a jellyfish if you get lost.
I was going to say my fiance's favorite beer is electric jellyfish. So
it's incredible. It's the IPA. Oh, it's the IPA that changed Austin. It's just absolutely incredible. I could talk about jellyfish for way too long on the show today.
Never had it, but I heard it's awesome.
Whoa.
I'm a sober boy, dude. I've been sober for like 2 years.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
We need to talk with the Pine House guys about getting a non-alcoholic jellyfish.
Hey, I would try that.
Okay, there you go.
I'm mad at myself for saying that on the show now. I want to patent that immediately.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so Pine House, Friday, 6 to 9. Might be a World Series Game 6 to deal with that night for us Rangers fans, but we'll see. Tonight is Game 5. And by the way, if you want a little extra weird angle on Game 5, tonight at 9 o'clock, we will have our Wednesday night What Are You Drinking edition of The Outsiders. What does that mean for you? That means I'm on The Outsiders show. That means Blake, the super producer, the other Rangers fan, is on the show. The rest of the show is a bunch of Astros-loving, Ranger-hating folk. And tonight we're talking to Michael Griffin as well. You got to love that. Get a little Michael Griffin discussion in. We'll talk football, maybe mix in what is going on in the world of cupcakes and some other stuff. Michael Griffin at 9:15 tonight with The Outsiders. If I seem a little distracted from 9 to 10, you'll excuse me. I'm going to try to be a pro while the Rangers, could be in a close, crazy. Actually, if the Rangers could just give me another 10-0 tonight, that'd be great.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Then I'm dealing with The Outsiders a lot better.
Can I give a real quick shout out?
Yes, sir.
Josh Sandler. Way to go, Keenan. 6.5 years myself, brother. Congratulations, man. That is awesome. I'm 2.5 years, so very excited about the future.
Very nice. Very nice. Congrats to all those folks going through that today. And we got some people throwing in their thoughts for who the most important player for Texas will be in this game and moving, in this game against K-State. We'll get back to that. Since we are into the 2 o'clock hour, let's get a little crap bag going here today. I got one of my absolute favorites on the birthday list. But before that, Keenan, I want to know if you heard this story out of boxing. Did you hear about the boxer that swallowed a wasp?
No, you need to tell me this.
I have never heard about this in my life, but there's a dude named, I think it's Martin Bacoli. That is the boxer. He was in a fight. He's a heavyweight. This was the undercard to Francis
the Ngannou fight.
To Ngannou and Fury. So they're in Saudi Arabia. They're getting this fight going. My man swallows a wasp, and it stung him multiple times inside of his mouth, throat, cheek. I don't know exactly where. But after the fight, while they're talking to him, he's like coughing and stuff and telling them about it. Like, I swallowed the deal. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Keenan, the reason they were talking to him after the fight is because he won the fight. He scored a TKO victory after swallowing a wasp. And he said he went into the locker room and tried to vomit this thing up.
Oh, my God.
They couldn't get it up. He was, while talking to them, he still said, yes, I think it's still in there. I think it's still there. I can't get it out. Like, can you imagine swallowing a wasp?
Oh, my God, dude. That's like, maybe the pain distracted him, so he wasn't worried about the fight.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Whatever the pain was inside of his head wasn't as bad as what he was experiencing in the fight.
Oh, my God. Dude, that's like a nightmare scenario. That's like something out of he's the guy that directed Scanners. Whatever. Yeah, it sounds like a very messed up movie.
Oh, man, just terrible.
Like Saw, like something you'd have to do in Saw. Or something that I would have been forced to do as a fraternity pledge, something like that.
Yeah. Major throws in a super chat, $4.99. My mama didn't raise a quitter. Keep the drinks coming. All right, Major. All right. Hey, us drinkers, look, come on. Let's respect the sober folk. Let's respect the sober folks.
No, that's all good, bro. I go to bars with crazy drinkers all the time. It's not a big deal.
There you go. What's your go-to non-alcoholic play at a bar?
Typically I just get a Topo Chico with a lime. That's typically what I drink at a bar.
Gotcha.
It's been so long now that I haven't had alcohol since like early 2021, so it's not really an issue for me anymore to like be around. It's not uncomfortable. It is for like the first 3 months, but at this point I don't. It's like somebody drinking a Diet Coke around me. Like I just don't.
Gotcha. So shout out to Martin for winning his fight while swallowing a wasp. The other thing I thought we'd hit in the crap bag today is the updated Jim Harbaugh, Michigan sign stealing stuff. I mentioned Jim Harbaugh's name first because I'm kooky and he's the head coach, so I think that's important. So the details I've heard today, Keenan, the new stuff that I've heard today is that there's even more information coming out about how many games they were trying to get to, how many games they were trying to record. The two that jumped out to me today were the Ohio State and Georgia numbers. Their plan was to get somebody to as many as 8 Ohio State games before they play Ohio State, and as many as like 4 or 5 Georgia games before they might play Georgia in a playoff. And then you brought this up earlier. Let's make sure everybody knows the latest on Connor. Is it Connor Stallions? Do I have his name right?
Connor the Stallions.
Connor Stallions. Yes. Almost a great wrestling name. Just sounds like a name Jack Black
very close.
Invent for a movie. Yes. Connor Stallions. So now they believe they have footage of this dude at a Central Michigan State game earlier in the year. On the sideline in Central Michigan gear. He's got a hat on, sunglasses, night game, sunglasses, had a little more, facial hair growth than he does now. But when I looked at those two pictures, Keenan, I'm like, well, yeah, that's him. It looks
it's
just
obvious,
like him.
Right?
Yeah. And they can go track that stuff and figure out. They're saying his name is not specifically on the list for Central Michigan. But then there's other questions that come up. Apparently, there are connections between the Central Michigan staff and the Michigan staff. And McElwain, remember the old coach at Florida?
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy that's at Central Michigan now. He says, well, no, we don't condone that. And I don't know what it is. I know this picture's getting out. So he's got to talk about it a little bit. But let's make sure we're clear. This dude had what is referred to as the VB pass, visitor's bench. Meaning he can get inside the 20s. He can get down into the true bench area. That's why he's standing right there with the coaches. So, Keenan, for the people that don't know, you and I, even if we are covering a game, if we're covering a game and we ask for a pass to get on the field, they give us a field pass.
Right.
And that's different. A field pass is you got to stay outside the 20s.
Right.
You can walk all the way around. It's very cool, but you can't get inside to those coaching areas. That's where this guy is standing. So then it's just a whole other set of questions of how would you get him there? And they've also got evidence now that some of the stuff they're recording ends up back on a computer and a hard drive that is not only accessible, Keenan, by Mr. Stallions, it's accessible by, it's going to shock
Jim
you,
Harbaugh,
multiple Michigan coaches. And maybe ultimately they don't make it connectable to Harbaugh because that's what you do, right? Plausible deniability. But come on.
I feel bad for the players, man.
Yes.
Michigan players.
I do. I agree.
They're going to get slapped across the face by the NCAA for something that their coach did. Their coach is going to bounce, and it's going to be totally unfair. I don't know whether the players know. They probably don't. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. But, yeah, somebody just said, should they be tossed out of the playoffs? Yeah, I think they should. I really do, man.
Well, yeah, and it's like your reaction is interesting to me because I think there are some people that have, since the beginning of this, a lot of people have done the same thing they did with the Astros, the same thing they did with the Patriots. A lot of people immediately go to, Chad, everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. What you gonna do? And I'm gonna keep asking, are you sure everybody's doing this? Are you sure that they are making sure a guy ends up on the sideline of a Central Michigan State game because Michigan's going to play Michigan State later in the year, and they make sure to get him there and have him record stuff and put it on a hard drive? Everybody's doing that in 2023?
That's outrageous. And, like, if you – sorry, continue. I got a thought in a second.
Well, I'm fascinated by it because I would agree that it's further than the Astros. I would agree that it's further than the Patriots.
Yep.
In the case of the Patriots, I think at least we could say they could go Costanza and say, oh, I didn't know that. If I'd known it was frowned upon. They at least get that a little bit from what I remember of Spygate. The Astros don't get that because the Astros were told, along with the rest of the league, hey, fellas, this is going on. Don't do this. The Astros took it to another level, and then did that.
Yeah.
That's a little different. They can't argue, well, we didn't know. If we had known. No, you knew, and you specifically did what they told you not to do. In this case, Keenan, it's a rule that has been in place since 94. You can hate the rule all you want. It's been in place since 94, like way, way back when people still respected Joe Paterno. Way back there. And all the way back to there is you can't go to the game. You aren't allowed to go to the game of a future opponent. They're putting this guy on the sideline. We're talking as they're covering 12 of the other 13 in the Big Ten. And then you have evidence that they had a seat on each side of Ohio State, Penn State. Which brings me to my easy solution, Keenan. The minimum that should happen here is real simple. The Big Ten has to protect its assets. They have to protect its teams, and here's how they do it. Jim Harbaugh, you either explain fully to us so we feel better about this, or you do not coach against Penn State, and you do not coach against Ohio State. We have evidence that you cheated to get intel. You're done. You can't coach those two games, or your entire coaching staff can't coach those two games, or we'll pick 5 guys that can't coach those 2 games. But I would go with Harbaugh because he is the tip of the spear. You're insane if you think he didn't know this is going on. And if it's going on and he didn't know, that might be even worse.
Right. Negligence.
So, then it's just and the idea that a guy with that level of detail would not. This is a guy that slept over at a kicker's house on a recruiting trip. You're telling me he wouldn't know that all this was going on and that Connor Stallions was just doing it on his own. Connor's always been
rogue.
Loves to travel.
He went rogue.
Connor loves the game, Chad. He just loves the sideline. That's all we know. Outside of that, we don't know any of it. He should not. He should not coach against Penn State or Ohio State, and he maybe should be suspended the rest of the year, Keenan, at least. But you have evidence that he was trying to get intel on those two teams to protect the number one team in the country and to protect another highly ranked team. That's what I would do. I'd call Ryan Day and I'd call Franklin today and Harbaugh, and I'd tell all three of them what's going to happen. And I'll say, Michigan's coming to see you, but Harbaugh won't. This is the least we can do right now. We're still investigating, but he cannot be on the sideline for y'all's games. We hope this helps you out.
How insulted would you be if you're like Rutgers or somebody and they just don't even send scouts to your game? They're just like, we can handle it. We don't need to steal your signs.
I still haven't heard who that one team is. I'm guessing it's Rutgers. My guess,
just not even trying to cheat against them.
My guess is Rutgers or Maryland.
That's worse.
Yeah, they've said that 12 of the other 13 they've got covered, and I'm guessing that it's Rutgers. But it's just that is my guess. But it's weird because people, and somebody chatted us earlier that said, come on guys, we know what's going to happen. He'll end up in the NFL and the kids will get punished and they'll move on. Like they'll hammer the next Michigan team.
Yep.
And that'll be so sad if that's how it happens. I know the NCAA has no teeth. I'm certain of it, but the Big Ten has an opportunity. Here's another opportunity they have, Keenan. The Big Ten, in case people don't remember this, they're going to add 2 teams next year. So it's also an opportunity for you to make a statement to USC and UCLA that we believe here in the Big Ten, we believe in certain rules of integrity. That's why we created this thing, and we didn't make the rule up. The NCAA did. When we heard that rule in 94, we thought it was important. We just thought it mattered. Hey, we're playing Purdue later in the year. Can I send someone to the game? You know what? We used to do that, but let's not do it. We'll send you tape, dude. We'll get you all 22s. We got drone shots now. We got all kinds of things. We got everything but their practice footage we can send you. You'll figure it out. I saw an article through this process. One Big Ten person said, look, all I need is like 2 or 3 games of film and I'm good. We're fine. We can see everything we need to see. So the Big Ten decides that's important. And now they need to back that up. They need to back up what they're saying and what they're thinking. I know it's one of your big names. I get it. But after what happened at Michigan State, Penn State, and Michigan before, in terms of legendary coaches and horrible things happening, we're way past the brands are so. Stop it. But quit.
Yeah. Not
after Dr. Nasser and Dr. whoever at Michigan, and of course Jopa and that crap at Penn State. So there's none of that going on. But your game integrity should at least kind of matter. And that's what I hope they do. Keenan, it's sad that I'm getting fired up here because this is probably my least favorite Power 5 conference. Of all the 5.
It's not that fun unless you're watching the top 2 or 3 teams. It's like 13-6 is like every 19-11. You just get scores. You're like, how the hell did this number even appear on the scoreboard?
Yeah. I think every college football fan has the ability to either really care about the SEC or really care about the Big Ten. I don't think our minds will allow us to care about both.
Yeah, I'm an SEC.
Yeah, I don't think both are allowed in there. I'm an SEC guy, so when they go 10-3 or 13-3 or 12-10, I can live with one version of that, but right. I can't do that. And then you and I go, hey, let's go watch Iowa, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
no, man.
It's not.
I'm sorry, I can't. I just sat through Mississippi State and whoever it was. I can't do both. So I hate that I'm doing this with the Big Ten. I also hate that I'm asking for Ohio State to get some deference. But you said it earlier, Keenan. If I can't live in a world where I assume Ryan Day's doing the exact same thing. If we prove it, that's different. But we have no proof of that. We do have proof that Michigan's doing this, and I just think a small gesture would be that when Ryan Day goes to the 50-yard line at the Big House in November for that big game, he gets to talk to some rando assistant. He doesn't get to talk to Harbaugh. Harbaugh shouldn't be there.
Yeah, and, there's a difference between scouting opponents and just cheating your ass off, And it's sad, dude. It sucks. Like, college football, obviously – when you work in the sports industry, obviously, as you know, you see how the sausage is made. You see a lot of stuff, doesn't make it to the light of day. And this is so bad that it's a major story now. So I don't think it would be this big of a deal if it weren't so elaborate. They're just so brazen about it. That's what's crazy to me. Just so like, F you, we're going to do this. Like, I don't know, man. I'm shocked. I mean, not shocked, right? Because it's college football. I remember Louis C.K. was talking to, what's his name, Conan O'Brien, about the, not Deflategate, the Spygate or whatever.
Spygate.
And Louis C.K. was like, yeah, they're trying to win.
Right. Yeah. And
they're trying to win. Why are you surprised? I guess I should have had that.
Yeah. And that's the thing people love to talk about. They love to talk about, about that it's okay. And if you're not cheating, you're not trying. That's the thing. But there's a version of if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And then there's a systematically devised plan like this that I just think crosses way over the line.
Also, think about the controversies in the state of Michigan in college football this year. You got this thing, you got the Mel Tucker thing.
Yeah. And Michigan's got 3 at once right now, too. They're still investigating Harbaugh for the recruiting stuff he wasn't supposed to do during COVID and lying about it. Then there's another investigation. I can't remember the details of it with another staffer, but I think there's also it may be about lying to investigators or something else. And then you got this. You bring up Mel Tucker. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. Those 2 schools, geez, just the runs of those 2 schools over the last few years have been terrible. All right, so there's the update for Michigan. Let us know what you think. Will there be suspension for Harbaugh, or does everybody just laugh it off? Purdue at Michigan is an evening kick this week, I believe. Yeah, 6:30. It's on NBC this week, and Michigan trying to stay undefeated and trying to stay in that playoff discussion. They are sitting at number 3 in the first CFP. All right, looks like Blake, the super producer, has a breaking news story for us. We have a breaking story. Look at there. Live from the Hook'em Hangout.
Official guest for Big Noon Kickoff is Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love McConaughey, dude.
McConaughey's fantastic.
Great actor, great guy.
Pretty much everything he does is great, but he's really good in that role.
What's interesting is, like, I remember, because he was sort of a rom-com guy for a while, and then the movie that flipped him to serious acting, there are 2 of them. There was The Lincoln Lawyer, and there was Killer Joe. And both of those movies completely changed the trajectory of his career. Killer Joe is an independent movie that he just was amazing in. It's one of the most disturbing movies I've ever seen, but I saw it with my dad, and we walked away just blown away by his ability to act. He's just such a good representation for the University of Texas, I think. It provides a swagger. It also provides sort of a legitimacy to especially the RTF program, I mean, having this guy so involved. So, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a good dude and a good rep for the university.
I'd add a Dallas Buyers Club to that list as well.
Oof, that's a Dallas Buyers Club of all time.
True Detective
too. True Detective.
I mean, we can list McConaughey.
Yeah, True Detective was great. Yeah. Dallas Buyers Club is what he got the Oscar for, correct?
Yeah,
believe so. Yeah,
it's the saddest movie of all time.
Lost all that weight. Oh god,
crying my eyes out, bro.
Great movie. Yeah, very emotional movie, but a great one. So shout out to Matthew. Another reason for you to maybe get down to DKR on Saturday morning. Get down there early. Big Noon Kickoff will be there. Before we get back to some Texas discussion, a couple things. First off, there is only one birthday to mention today. I am a music freak. I am a rock metal kind of guy. And the first band that I ever really fell in love with that was mine was Def Leppard. It's also a band my wife and I both love. Today is Rick Allen's birthday. Rick Allen is 60 today. He is the Thunder God. He is the drummer for Def Leppard. And look, I get all the jokes through the years. What has 10 legs and 9 arms? Def Leppard. I get it. But let me go through Rick Allen's story real quick for you one more time. Rick Allen joined Def Leppard on his 15th birthday. Imagine that for a second. You join a rock band that ends up being that big when you're 15 years old. When he's 21, he's driving with his girlfriend in a badass Corvette because he's a badass rock star on little roads in England. And he was doing a little of what he shouldn't have, probably New Year's Eve, a little bit of reckless driving. And he ends up wrecking. His arm is severed by the seatbelt. His body is thrown out of the car. He wakes up in a field in England, and he's got one arm. And this nice couple walks by, and he just says to them, "I'm a famous drummer, and I got to find my other arm," basically, is what he tells them.
Oh, my God. Like Saving Private Ryan?
Right, exactly. They go to the hospital. They try to reattach the arm. Because of infections, it's not going to take. It's not going to hold. So he has to go without his left arm. It's over. It's done with. There's no more career to be had unless you're Rick Allen. He tells them in the hospital. He tells every guy in the band that visited him, "We're going to do it, man. I'll just learn to play with my left foot." And they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" And they're looking at each other like, "Yeah, Rick's gone a little mental. He's a little crazy." They take a break. They figure out what's the latest in electronic drumming. And then by 86, it happened in 84. By 86, he's back out there. They brought a backup drummer just in case. They brought 2 drummers out there. So they cover him just in case he couldn't handle it. And then one night, the backup drummer was late, and he snuck onto the drums like 3 songs in. And that night, Def Leppard told him, "You're good, dude. Our guy's fine. The Thunder God is the Thunder God." And Rick Allen is 60 today, and every time I see him, I get emotional. I love his story. He's an artist on the side. You talk about never giving up. God, I love Rick Allen to death. He's one of my favorite drummers in the world. Happy birthday to Rick today. And I can't believe he's 60. That makes me old. Rick Allen's not supposed to get old. He's 60 damn years old today.
You'll love this, dude. So I play the drums. I've been drumming for 15 years.
Nice.
And I covered Pour Some Sugar on Me, and I played with one arm.
Is that right? Very nice.
I put my I did this basically,
dude,
and just drummed.
He's incredible.
It was a lot of fun.
He's amazing. And the energy he gets from the crowd. Oh, I'm going to get emotional.
That's the thing, dude, with drummers. Quick side note is so much of the energy of the band comes from the kit, right? Look at Led Zeppelin. John Bonham is arguably in a band of the most talented musicians of all time. I think he's the most talented member of Led Zeppelin. That is saying something.
Right. Well, it still says something to me that the band broke up because of him.
Yeah, because he passed away. They're like, never again.
There's never been, I don't know that there's ever going to be another band where it's more clear that you have to stop. Like we could both go through bands where the drummer died or left the band. They kept going.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be a band the next day if they can figure it out. And Zeppelin was like,
we know.
You could argue the most monstrous band on the planet at that moment in certain regards. And they all looked at each other and went, "Oh yeah, we're done, right? Oh yeah, no, we're done. We're done. No Bonzo, we're out." Yeah. We are out.
And then his son played with them in the last 5-10 years. Apparently his son's a badass. So.
Jason's a beast too. All right, so happy birthday to Rick Allen today. Also, let's get a shout out. Blake, let's hit a little Mojo Insurance today. That is one of the great partners around here with Orangebloods Live. And you see it right there on the screen, all the different insurance. Mojo Insurance is a place I might need to be checking with because my daughter just got added to the car insurance. And holy hell, that's
expensive, bro.
Bit of a change, but you see it there, shopping over 50 A-rated carriers, trying to get you the best deal. So scan that QR code and check them out. mojoinsurance.agency is how you can find out more. We're glad you joined us on House Divided today. No Jeff Ketchum because he's dealing with some other Orangebloods stuff today. Thanks again to Keenan Womack for jumping in today. Check out all the great basketball stuff he's got for you on orangebloods.com. In fact, I did this today. Go to the basketball section. You can see articles he's written, comments about the team, getting you ready for the season. And as we talked about earlier, he's seen the scrimmage. He's seen the exhibition game, and he's looking forward to that first one against Incarnate Word. Is that the first opponent?
It is, yeah. Also, real quick, Bo in the comments, thank you for supporting Orangebloods. I know you're an OU fan, but thank you for commenting and being a part of the community. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, Bo. Thank you, Bo. We appreciate it.
Bo is here like every day. We love Bo.
Love it.
He's a homer.
Yes. And by the way, speaking of Bows, Bo Edge will be a part of the Outsiders tonight. We're talking to Michael Griffin at 9:15. That's going to be fun. And of course, Football with Friends comes up at 3:30 with our man Alex Dunlap. A great football breakdown there. Blake, the super producer, is a part of that one as well. So they'll be having a good time. How is that lake level doing? Blake, do we have an update on lake level? How's it been going?
Chad, the lake is up 3 or 4 feet over the last week or so.
I was hoping because it's
Let's
been raining
go.
out here, and I'm always thinking of the lake level when I'm watching you guys. So
For the first 2 months of the show, it dropped every single. I had to update the graphic every day. It dropped every single day, and then this last week, it's been rising. It's
Man.
been.
By the way,
shock,
speaking of months, you realize tomorrow is 3 months for Orangebloods Live.
whoa.
Yeah,
Man.
tomorrow is November the 2nd. It'll
Let's
be 3
go.
months. 3 months since we cranked this bad boy.
It feels
up.
like we just started, and it also feels like we've been doing this for 3 years now.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. All right, let's get some chats in here because it'll get us back to the conversation that Keenan, you brought up. I think it's a great point, a great little question to ask the folks about who they think is the most important player in the game against Kansas State, and maybe, player moving forward. This is interesting. Multiple people threw Mo Blackwell in. Money B says he has the ability to cover and fast enough to spy if needed. Another chatter, Money B says, Blackwell is the key. You brought up Anthony Hill, Keenan, and South End Zone Queen says Hill needs to spy Avery like he did Milroe in the Alabama game. Avery is Avery Johnson, the second K-State quarterback, a freshman that they'll bring in mainly as a runner, and he made life tough for Joey McGuire. Joey McGuire still probably wakes up and has a bit of the shakes off of what Avery Johnson brought to Lubbock. They cannot let Avery Johnson bring that kind of stuff to Austin. South End Zone Queen, that's a good point. And to what you were saying, Keenan, Anthony Hill is so talented. It just doesn't feel like there's any tool he might need that he won't be able to either use now or develop it, moving forward. But if you're going to have a spy, he feels like the right person there to make sure that Johnson doesn't go crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was surprised they didn't run a little bit more of that against Oklahoma when Dylan Gabriel was just Vanilla Vic and everybody, just running around. I think he rushed for 110 yards or something. I was surprised they didn't do more of that, but I mean, I don't know anything about coaching defense, so Kwiatkowski's probably a lot better at that than me. But
so the other thing to look for, number 5, by the way, is Avery Johnson. So I think it's 18 for Will Howard, and then Johnson
18.
is 5. And Will Howard's that kind of guy, man. You can feel – we got to remember – you said it earlier, Keenan. Let's remember this is the team that won the title. He's the quarterback that won the title.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've ever seen a Power 5 conference champion quarterback that's getting less love overall probably than what Will Howard is. And maybe only if Cam Rising was back and healthy would people not know that he's the 2-time Pac-12, champion quarterback.
Right.
But you can tell Will Howard is, you talk about a leader, teammates love him, and he does not want to give up his reps easily. Last week, they ripped Houston apart, and they really didn't use Avery Johnson that much. It was Will Howard. Howard was running the ball a little bit. Howard was throwing the ball just fine. They got after Houston right away. I think if they could just take that template and throw it to Austin, I think they would. They went up 14-0 right into the second quarter, 2 plays into the second quarter. They're already up 14-0. And Keenan, it felt like Houston had not had the ball, but it felt like they'd run 5 plays at that point. I mean, it was crazy to think of the sequencing there. That's what K-State wants to do to you. Just slowly beat you to death over 4 quarters. Houston let them do it. That's what Texas cannot let them do. They got to get them off the field.
But I thought everything ran through Lubbock. Joey McGuire told me.
See, it does. He wasn't clear. What he meant was K-State runs through Lubbock.
Run right through them.
Avery Johnson ran all through Lubbock. He ran around Lubbock, through Lubbock, outside Lubbock. They ran all night long on that one.
Just Josh and my tech buddies. Love you guys.
Yes. South End Zone Queen jumping back in says Josh Pate just posted video of Connor Stallions on the CMU sidelines and points out the sunglasses are the recording Ray-Bans that takes picture. Oh, good Lord.
Look at the blue light.
Look at James Bond, dude.
Do what? Oh, you're saying the light in that the right corner?
Yeah, so look at the upper left corner of that blue light. That means he's recording with his sunglasses.
If you watch the full video, it's just obvious. Like,
come on,
those are recording sunglasses.
I mean, we're to the, there's sometimes we get to stories in covering sports, talking about sports where it's like of a serious nature, like when guys get multiple arrests, multiple DWIs, multiple whatever. And I'll get to the point pretty quick, especially as I get older, where I'll go, all right, it's not funny anymore. Now we got to figure out what's going on, This is a story to me that, and I know some people still love to have fun with it and laugh, and it's a joke to them, but I mean, now Keenan, I'm going to ask the question of, like, where's that point? Like, what's going to make the Big Ten mad?
Yeah.
The NCAA is not going to move here. And the Big Ten, to me, is the first wave. But here's another one. And this is a strange one to bring up because I haven't brought it up yet. But because earlier, like I said, if I'm Ohio State or I'm Penn State, I'm concerned. I'd be calling the league office. What about Michigan themselves? Yeah. Is there no respectability card to play here? The AD, the president, you're being accused of this. They've got proof of this. People wearing your colors are doing this on this level. You should be ashamed. You're about to host Purdue in a home game. Are you proud that this man is your head coach and these men are orchestrating this whole thing? It's gross. You used the word earlier, Keenan. It's a perfect word. This is gross. It's gross. Please tell me we're all beyond. Everybody's doing it, Chad. Everybody's doing it.
Everybody is not doing this.
There's no way. There's no way. First off, sidelines aren't big enough. There's not enough room. There's not enough room for that many press passes, but that many, visiting bench passes.
Yeah, no kidding. I had trouble getting into the Moody for an exhibition the other day. Like, it's not easy to get on the field,
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I remember, when I talked about the field passes that I've had, I've been lucky enough to have field passes a handful of times in my life. And where you can walk is a big deal, and where you can't is a big deal. And I'm one that I had a camera down on the sideline with me sometimes, just taking random pictures for myself.
Sure.
But they're watching me. There are people watching me. There are NCAA people watching me, but most importantly, there are team people watching me about, hey, man, what are you doing? You can't linger. You can't go lingering like right behind a bench. They're asking you to move. Oh, yo, man, let's go. Move it on. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that happens. So the idea, on one level, you could say, my God, I can't believe he got to the Central Michigan sideline and they never knew he was there. I would answer to that, Keenan, no. You're not thinking about it deeply enough.
Right.
The problem is that they knew he was there. The problem now becomes, how in the world could Jim McElwain not know about that? How in the world could Jim McElwain's assistants not know about that? Somebody had to set him up with the pass. Did they put his name on it or not? And I think we're finding out no. It's like, okay, so you didn't put his name on the pass. He didn't sign for his pass. Why not? Why wouldn't you want him to sign his name, Connor Stallions? I think we all know why. So you snuck him onto the sideline, helping Michigan do it, put him in your stuff, and we've got some connections. And again, I haven't dug through exactly what they are. I just read it as like the last sentence of a story today, that there are connections between the Central Michigan and Michigan staff. Hell, the fact, Keenan, that it's a directional Michigan school and Michigan makes it look bad. And how am I supposed to feel? How am I supposed to feel if I'm a Michigan State coach, a Michigan State player? I know they're going through a lot of garbage right now, but like, it's one of those like, look, we suck enough. Yeah. We're bad enough. You guys, the little directional, which we schedule you to, you're colluding.
Buyout game, yeah.
You're colluding with Michigan to get this dude on the sideline in recording glasses so he can send stuff back to the hard drive so multiple coaches can break it down so y'all can whip us 49-0 later in the year. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Again, Big Ten, are you mad yet? Are you mad yet? For years, Keenan, you'll understand this. As a Cowboys fan, there have been times where I will say to my TV, I'll yell at my TV, is anybody mad yet? Is somebody mad? Because I'm
mad.
Right? Like during the Wade Phillips era, I always felt like no matter how bad they got beat, nobody got mad. Everybody just kind of ho-hum, whatever. And I'm like, is anybody pissed off? Is the quarterback mad? Is the coach mad? Is the receiver mad? I would just ask the Big Ten offices, is anybody mad?
Are you going to get on the field for Texas games next year and feed Jimbo intel?
No. 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 And I'm assuming nobody else is either.
I hope not, for everybody's sake.
What? It's just.
It sucks, dude. It's sad.
That's gross.
Yeah,
It's so gross. Thank you for all your chats today. South End Zone Queen, thank you for the update on that
dude.
Story today. And you know what, Tex guy, you're probably right. They don't care. And they could be anybody. The Big Ten may not care. The NCAA may not care. Michigan State and Ohio. Because maybe the answer is, well, because if Ohio State or Penn State caused a problem, what's going to happen, Keenan? Then all their secrets are going to come out, right? That's what it is.
They got dirt on each other.
Yeah, in recruiting, that's what it is. In recruiting, that's the discussion. Like,
Definitely.
I always go back to Laramie Tunsil. The Laramie Tunsil thing at the draft. What supposedly happened there was that an Alabama fan was mad because somebody dimed out Bama for a violation. I think it actually involved Bo Davis. They got mad because somebody got dimed out, and they went after Ole Miss's guy at the draft. That's supposedly what happened.
I actually have heard different. I watched a documentary about recruiting in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
It came out maybe 3-4 years ago. It's called I'll remember the name of it. I'll tweet it out. It's super good. So actually what happened with Laramie Tunsil is his stepdad was trying to be his agent.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, I don't want you to be my agent. So his stepdad leaked that to like punish him.
Oh, okay.
Which is so much worse.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Stepdad betraying you. That's just so sad. I felt so bad for Tunsil because he probably lost, $7-8 million falling down the first round because he was like a top 5 pick. People thought. I think he went 13th or something.
But he's also now become one of my favorite stories in the NFL.
He's badass.
Because all that dude has done is become an incredible player, dude, teammate, and everything.
Remember the touchdown he scored in the I think it was the Sugar Bowl against Oklahoma State? They lined him up at tight end and then threw him like a lateral and he ran it. It was so fun.
He's a great story. Now I love what he's become now.
Me too.
All right, let's see. A couple chats on this deal here. It says JDH, considering most Big Ten schools and cities are very far left and have much bigger issues than college football for real. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they're probably just not thinking about it all that much.
I guess. And then South End Zone Queen back in says, what I don't understand is how they got so mad about a cheeseburger and not this. Yeah, that's to the NCAA part of it. South End Zone Queen, maybe it's because the cheeseburger thing is so specific. They get to pretend like they care about it and they can just specifically go at it. And in this case, they feel like it's bigger. It's bigger than 1 or 2 people or 3 people or 5 people or whatever. I don't know. And also deep down, they know they can't absolutely prove that Jim Harbaugh knew. I think that maybe does that scare them? I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't understand how he gets to keep coaching.
They should at least lose some scholarships, like something, dude.
Yeah, lose some schollies. That guy is not like first. Okay, they have suspended Stallions, right, with pay.
I would think.
I think they've suspended. I think he is still suspended from the original deal. But okay, if you found that the hard drive is connected to multiple Michigan coaches, okay, well they can't coach until you figure this out, or they like something. Something has to happen. I don't know what it is. Even if y'all want to say every Michigan game starts 14-0 the other team, something. Like, please. I don't understand what is going on here. This is way beyond where it needs to be. And the only thing I could come up with, Keenan, since they lost, and here's the other thing. Would this be different if they had lost to a more important brand in the playoff?
Yeah. They lost to Georgia or Clemson or something.
What if they had lost to – what if they had – or I guess I should say it the other way. What if they'd beaten a better brand?
Right.
In the playoff? What if they'd faced Texas in the playoff and beaten them, and then we learn about all this? Would Texas fans be mad?
I mean, Dodgers fans were pretty mad after 2017.
Absolutely. And they had every right to be mad. And so did who played the Red Sox in 2018? Who'd they beat?
I don't even remember. I was paying more attention to the
end. Yeah. Blake, the super producer, might get us that one. Cardinal.
Well, real quick, Chad, I've got something you're going to have to explain to me.
Okay. No.
What is happening here? What is this?
You know what? A doctored phone, a doctored picture is what's happening there. That is not true. How dare you accuse a 4-star general level leader of espionage and untoward activity? That never happens. You can always see Reveille's eyes. What are you talking about? How dare you? That would be wild if every dog in the SEC all of a sudden shows up.
Uga had like shades on, but like they're too low to the ground, so it doesn't help.
Oh my God. How many memes and GIFs and everything are we going to see now of like big, every Michigan mascot, Michigan players with little
century
lights coming off of it? Oh my God. It's just unbelievable. All right. So there's an update on that story. Let us know and continue to let Orangebloods Live know what you think of that. We've got Football with Friends coming right up with Alex Dunlap. Blake, the super producer, will be a part of that. Keenan Womack, dude, I appreciate you taking time today. Thank you so much for jumping in. Give me a last thought on the Rangers. Are they getting it done tonight?
Last thought on the Rangers, and then one quick recruiting note. I think they do get it done tonight. I think they win in 5. I think they're a better team than Arizona. I think they're the team of destiny, and I just think it's their year. Real quick, there is going to be a commitment tonight, Texas basketball. I don't want to reveal who it is yet because, I know, but I don't want him to,
Cool.
I don't want to ruin his surprise. But yeah, there's going to be a pretty big commitment tonight for the class of 24, I believe. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Very cool. Check out orangebloods.com for all the latest there. Follow him at Keenan Womack for the very latest. Again, Football with Friends coming up with Alex Dunlap. We've got the Outsiders tonight with Michael Griffin. 9 o'clock start. 9:15.
One of my favorite horns ever.
Oh, he's so great to talk to.
Man, that was like my favorite player.
Love listening to him talk ball and really anything else. We'll talk cupcakes and we'll talk whatever with him, man. He's great. We'll see how he and Arakpo are doing with those cupcakes tonight. Griffin at 9:15 tonight on the Outsiders. And we'll be back tomorrow with a Thursday show. 1:20, our weekly conversation with Brian Jones of CBS Sports. They have a triple header this week. They've got Ohio State in the 11 o'clock. They've got Georgia and Missouri in the 12:30 slot. And then they've got primetime LSU Bama this week. So we got a lot to talk to Brian about tomorrow at 1:20. Catch will be back tomorrow. So we will see you then. Thank you to everybody on the Specs chat. Shout out to Specs for being such a great partner. So until noon tomorrow, this is House Divided. Thanks again to Keenan Womack for his time today. Y'all have a great one. Welcome